Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario. Welcome back to another episode of Mario's Minute. In case you do not know, this is a podcast I do every month in two forms. First of all, I do it in a visual form here on the Mr. Mario 2011 YouTube channel, where there's not too much going on. There's just like my channel art right there, and then a cool looking visual that you can check out. At least I think it's cool looking. And there is a audio only component of this because, well, this is first and foremost a podcast. If you want to take an audio only version of it somewhere and take it around anywhere and listen to it anywhere, you can simply look up Mario's Minute on your favorite podcasting app or platform, and it should hopefully be there. We're on most platforms, but I know it's not available on all of them. Either way, Mario's Minute is just a monthly podcast I do where I talk about whatever the hell I want to. Sometimes I have a guest on, sometimes I don't. What I try and do is I try and alternate. So one month I do a solo episode, one month I do a guest episode. And I would like to say also at the beginning here, Happy New Year to anybody who is listening, because congratulations, we made it to 2020 version 2 at this point. But either way, one nice thing about this is that we are starting off this year strong with a guest episode. And this is actually the first time I have had a return guest on. So this is somebody you might have heard from before or might know of. But in case you do or don't, I guess I'll just ask my guest, as I always ask, who the hell are you?
Hello, it's FrameRater. I do the things on YouTube, and let me just say, I am very jealous if the fact that you are reading off a script, because man, I did a lot of reading of my own script recently, and I'm just screwing up like every other word, and then like just to hear you go off on that what I assume was a script is just inspiring. I wish I had that talent.
Well, thank you, man. Well, okay, is it more or less inspiring if I tell you that was not a script? That was just all off the top of my
Ah,
head.
there we go. Because, yeah, I have a hard time believing anyone can read a script like that. Except, I mean, I did work in journalism for a little bit, so I know people can do that. And I
Yeah,
was always so jealous of that. Like, people who
yeah.
could read long sentences and stuff, like, without tripping, basically.
Yes,
It's very
yes.
hard.
You're talking with like a teleprompter and everything.
Yeah, I mean, a teleprompter makes it a little easier because the words go up on the screen at a certain like speed.
Hmm.
When you're looking at like a document on a page, it's kind of hard to like, okay, this is the next line, this is the next line, even if you double space it. But anyways, there's my tangent for the day.
Okay, well, I'd say that's a good tangent, but thank you very much. And no, I assure you there was no script. It's just something I guess I know how to do after doing this podcast for what, 4 years now at this point. So
I've been doing this for 5 at least, and I still can't do it.
it's
No.
all good. I've been doing it for a while as well, but like you have the scripted thing. I don't do the scripted thing, but like it's fine. Like the in as long as the end result is like acceptable, I think it's
I
okay.
think
You
it's a
just
skill where you either have it or you don't, because no amount of training can make me better at like not stumbling on my words for some reason. Anyways, how you doing today, Mr.
Oh,
Mario?
I'm doing pretty well. Hopefully, I feel awake at this point. I was feeling myself getting a little tired, so I did have kind of a nice espresso type thing. There's like 150 milligrams of caffeine in there, so I'm not going to be bouncing off the walls, but I'm at least awake for this. So I'm doing pretty well. I got my water next to me and everything. Talking with my friend FrameRater here. How's it going for you, dude?
It's going pretty good. Had some major developments recently in life, lots of changes, lots of good stuff, lots of, certain things where it's like, oh, my life is changing now. I gotta think about this and that and manage my content around it. Most importantly, oh boy, it's been quite a change of events.
For sure, for sure. Well, I do want to say, yeah, first off, it's actually I even had that on here. I did want to congratulate you because I mean this is a surprise to me in a good way, but for anybody who does not know, FrameRater got married recently.
Yay!
How's that been for you?
It's been great. The only thing is managing time,
Yeah.
because when you get married, well, especially the marriage process, oh my god, there is so much involved. But then like you actually like I've been so busy with the marriage up until early January, where I almost like forgot what it was like to even work. So I've had to come back to terms and be like, what do I do? Console library. That's a thing I do. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's the hot topic of the minute. I've been working on 2 years ago. I did an Atari Jaguar console library, and it was not very good. I think I gave myself more flack than was deserved, but I just don't like how it turned out. So I privated it like a year later, and this is finally the big return. And I have a special guest coming on, who's doing some of the games with me. A true Jaguar expert, knows the system in and out, and he's going to make that a really good video.
That's
I can
awesome.
already see his talents glimmering.
That's really cool to hear. I'm looking forward to seeing that. So I
Yeah.
think it will at this rate. It sounds like it will probably be out after this podcast because this will go up on.
Yes, it
Yeah.
will
So
definitely be up in February at some point.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess anybody can check out FrameRater's channel if you're interested in that. Check it out. But also, you got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff there as well too.
Yeah, a little slow recently because of all the stuff going on. Again, I really got to figure out a way to manage all this.
It's a I mean, it's funny. Like, first of all, like, again, congratulations for the marriage and everything. But even when you're saying it, so I'm not married. I have never been married. But it's like when you were talking about how busy it is, I was just kind of even thinking, I'm like, it's not only just like the whole like marriage, like I guess the marriage process in many ways sounds like it's not a romantic thing because it's a legal thing. You're essentially establishing a business with the person that you want to
Yeah,
spend the rest of your life with. That's what it is.
honestly, and I don't know if I would get in trouble for saying this or not, but I think a lot of the wedding is just to make the girl happy. Like I wanted to get married, absolutely, but
Hmm.
I think the whole wedding process and the setting up, and it's a lot of like, let's make this look fancy, let's make this special for you, and that is a huge a huge laundry list of things that you got to do to make it all pretty and special. And for these girls, a lot of them, they want their fancy pictures, so you got to look nice. You got to make everything else look nice. Got to have a booth for pictures. Got to have a beautiful cake. Got to have just about everything that you could ever imagine.
Sure, and I think even with that too, just from what I've observed, I'm not even saying with specifically you. It's more just been like the weddings I've gone to and like people I've talked to who've gotten married. It's almost like I mean, like you and your wife are kind of just actors or props in a way because the whole thing. It's not that the wedding's not enjoyable, but it's just like you're the star of the show, you're kind of working, but the wedding is really there for enjoyment for like your family and friends and people who are being invited as well too,
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
kind of just going from place to place doing thing to thing to thing. And then did you all have the thing where it's like probably like the night after, like a day or two after, it's just like, wait, what just happened? You have to like go through like photos and videos to see what happened.
Um, I guess to a degree. Oh God, my reflex is catching up with me. Okay.
Oh, you good?
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
Reflux is a very ongoing issue in my esophagus
Oh
for
god.
however many
Okay.
years now.
Okay.
So yeah, going back to that, where it was kind of like what just happened. I guess it kind of flew by,
Hmm.
but I mean, when you're so busy, it all flies by. But I don't think there was any like element of doubt if that's kind of what we're going at here, where it's like I can't believe we just. Well, no, actually, there was that. I don't know. That's kind of a subject that like it's hard for me to think about because like literally as soon as the marriage was over, I was just like okay, not immediately after. We had like a day of celebrating, but like
Hmm.
right after I got back home, I was like, okay, I have been taking a huge break from YouTube. I am so behind. So my thought process kind of went immediately back to work at that point. Of course, with all the the typical romance from the day to day.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. But yeah, just getting back to, I guess, a new normal in a way. I mean, there's that term that's been floating
yeah,
around, but it's just like, hey, this is like your normal thing that you were doing, but now like you have a wife, so
yeah, and it's great. And God, it's very unforgiving to have a YouTube platform that is constantly going up and down and up and down. And it's like, yeah, on a regular day I can maintain this. Not when I've got so much going on in my life. And it's always there's this internal shame where like you might see that you've lost a patron or something, and you feel inside it's like, oh, it's because I'm not doing much work this month or whatever. And it's just like but I'm trying my best.
hmm.
You
But
know,
but it might not even.
I will I will not understate the fact that there has been a lot of stress involved in all this.
Sure.
Leading up to the wedding was one of the most stressful things of my life that did not involve like drama.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like with like everything on there. Not even just with your situation, but just with like weddings in general. I think even when you were saying before, where it was like more for your wife, I guess. Um, it kind of reminds me, one of my best friends a few years ago got married, and like right at the beginning, like I can understand both sentiments, but like right at the beginning, he had said, he's like, hey, you know what, like I just want to marry you, like it doesn't really matter to me, we could just like, we could just go to the courthouse, if you want to bring some family and even some friends, they can watch, and I just don't mind as long as we get married. And she's like, no, we need to have a big wedding. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, cool, we'll have a wedding. So they, paid a bunch of stuff. Much of that stuff is not refundable, or you can't get a full refund back. And they had planned it for months and months and months. And then it was like a few weeks out, all of a sudden his wife was just like, this is way too stressful, I don't like this, I can't do it. And he's like, I think she even said, she's like, you know what, I don't care anymore, can we just like go to the courthouse and get married? And he's like, honey, yeah, you remember when I proposed that at the beginning, and you know how we've been working at this for months, and now we can't refund a lot of this stuff? It's kind of too late for that.
Yeah.
So I did this because you wanted to do it, and like I'm cool either way. If you want to have a big wedding, or if you want to just get married like in a courthouse, that's fine. But it's kind of too late to go back at this point. We kind of got to go through with this. Like
Yeah.
I tried to propose this to you at the beginning, and you said no.
Yeah, there's always the debates about how are we going to do this. I married an international person, and her idea was that we would have a marriage here, typical kind of like white person marriage, and then we're going to go over to Bangladesh and have a marriage there. And that's going to be very interesting. I don't know much about it. I'm slowly but also quickly learning about the culture through watching like Bollywood movies and
Sure.
and all this other stuff. And it's very interesting. The culture is astoundingly different. Like everything's different, and it's a lot to take in. I can't even imagine how difficult it was for her to come here. So yeah.
For sure. And I think even with that too, it's like I'll even ask, so are you only doing one wedding in Bangladesh? Or I guess that's my only surprise. I'm like, not even with that, but I'm just even thinking of like this like Ronnie Chang joke where he pretty much said within like, I think within a few days, he pretty much had 3 weddings. He only has one wife, but he had like 3 weddings. That's why I'm just like, oh, okay, you're only having one wedding.
If that's the case,
wedding
I don't know. I think there's just one over there, but I don't know. Maybe they do this in stages or something. I've still got yet to watch like a wedding from over there. I'll probably have to do that for research purposes.
Do that research. That sounds like a good opportunity.
Yeah. Maybe there's a Bollywood movie about it. I'm sure there is.
Yeah. Or just watch like YouTube home videos or something.
Yeah, there's always options.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah, what else have you been up to, man?
Let's think. For our honeymoon, we went to Niagara Falls, which was nice.
On the Canadian side, of course, right?
Yes. Lots of pretty pictures and videos we took there. Late at night, they do some colorful things with the waterfall. That's interesting. Of course, it was frigid cold.
Yeah, because you went in January, right?
Yeah, we went to a hotel, which was nice for the most part, but the pool was very, very not maintained, which was funny because like it was like pre-COVID, you would think that's a poorly maintained pool, but during COVID, it was horribly maintained. I was in there, and a family, like 3 different families with like at least 4 children each, just came right into the pool, and there seemed like there was no restriction on the amount of people who could be in there. And it was so funny because it was like right after we came in, there was just like a man and a woman in there, like a couple, and it's like, okay, well, 2 couples in the pool, and then like 3 large families. I'm like, oh my lord. And then we came home, and I was very, very sick, and so was my wife, and we got tested for COVID, and we came up negative, but we kind of don't believe that, but we're all good now. Because she had COVID before she moved here, and she was saying that this was worse than what she had when she had COVID. So she's like, I don't believe that test. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I could have came through with COVID. I don't really know. It was pretty bad, but she definitely got a lot worse than I did, which would be funny because I was the one that went in the pool first and put my head under the water. Oh my god, it was such a dirty pool. There was like floating hair everywhere, which
why, now you're telling, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I didn't know. Like, I went into the pool and I'm just swimming in this beautifully warm pool, and then moments later when my wife comes in, she's like, I feel like I should tell you something, but it's gonna ruin it. And I'm just like, but I want to know. And then she's like, okay, look at the surface of the pool. And then I do from an angle where there's light, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's filthy. Like, you wouldn't know as you were going in. And also like for perfect vision, I need glasses, and I don't really wear them anymore because I can, for the most part, see fine. I'm not expecting to come across a situation where I need to see the fine details of a pool, but yeah. Oh boy, the things I get myself into. Probably shouldn't have gone in that pool, but it's
Yeah,
so tempting where it's like, oh, I haven't seen or even been in a pool in such a long time.
dude.
You know,
I'm just here. I'm like, you could have just run a bath, and it would have been less
actually, the
germy.
hotel, weirdly enough, only had a shower stall, no bath.
Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah,
next time you travel to a hotel, request one with a bath.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that just this one of the lessons here for anybody who's dipping out already. And if you are, sorry about that. But maybe if you're gonna take anything, just right now, just don't go into a damn pool because you don't know how questionable they're gonna be maintained. And obviously, you two got pretty sick from that pool because it was just like I don't know, a nice soup of bacteria. It sounds like.
Sounds like, yeah, pretty much. Sounds like,
Okay.
looks like, smells like. Actually, it smelled
Okay.
fine.
All right. Just smell like chlorine and all that.
I'm not sure. I'd have to put myself back in that place, and
Don't
God
do
knows I'm
that.
not going to do that.
No, no, don't do that. So that doesn't sound great.
No, it wasn't too
Like
pleasant.
everything else sounds fine. I'm not right on that. It's more just like the nasty pool and then getting sick from the nasty pool.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I assume, at least, a lot of our audiences, they're into games. Let's talk about some game stuff.
Oh, sure, sure. Do you have anything in mind with that? I have a game related thing, I suppose.
Well, game related, when is this podcast going up?
Oh, this is going to be going up on the 26th, so next
Okay,
Wednesday.
so
This coming
it
Wednesday.
has officially, to you listening at home, it has officially come out a day after the new Serious Sam game, Siberian Mayhem, comes out. I don't know if
Oh,
you've heard of that.
I
It
have
is
not.
essentially a DLC that they're selling as a standalone game. It's being made by, I believe, a Russian team of modders who are familiar with the Serious Sam uh, environment, the editor, and all that stuff. Some pretty big names from the community, and there was a 10-minute video dropped the other day, which was really a good thing because Serious Sam 4, I don't think had any raw gameplay that was demonstrated before the game came out. And the game was criticized a lot for that, the marketing of that game. And despite there's been very little marketing of this game whatsoever, we got raw footage only a few days before it comes out. But also, we only first discovered about this like a month ago at most. And I'm looking forward to it. From the video I saw, there's some cool new things like explosive barrels, which is a new thing for Serious Sam, believe it or not. Actually, no, it's not.
Hmm.
Hold on. No, it's not, but it wasn't really made very obvious in Serious Sam 3 where there were barrels and you could barely even tell if they were explosive. And honestly, I don't even think they did that much environmental damage, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, yes, explosive barrels in Serious Sam. Hooray! New weapons. There's apparently going to be a flamethrower. I don't know. Looking forward to that. Am I going to make a video? I have no idea. That is my official response to the Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem stuff because I'm not going to talk about it on my channel until I decide if it's good or not. Thank you.
I could tell you were just itchy to get that off your chest and you
Yep.
just needed a public medium to get it out. So this is awesome. You can just point people to the timestamp.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, real cool. Like I love that you're excited about that, and
I am excited, yeah.
I feel for. It's been a while since I played a Serious Sam game, but I feel for the people who are excited for that because that's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I initially had a review code for Serious Sam 4 when that game came out, and I think my initial kind of grouchy coverage of that game it didn't give me a really good look. So I could have asked for a review copy ahead of time for this one. I felt like I already bought the game first and foremost, like when it first was revealed. And
Hmm.
I'm not even entirely sure if they would give me another code again. I've tried to change up my approach a lot in the last 2 years. Yeah, I guess it's been 2 years since that game came out. Wow, time flies. But yeah, that wasn't a. I didn't really approach that game correctly the first time. I'm trying to be a lot more careful about the way that I approach Serious Sam specifically in the future because that's an audience that, despite a lot of them have their vendettas against me, it's something that I am trying to please most of the time and got to be responsible and stuff. I'm just lucky that once the reviews came out, they were largely not in favor of Serious Sam 4, at least at the start. So I didn't look like a total goofbag.
I mean, to me, it sounds like you were doing your job as a reviewer, which was just being
Yeah, I
honest.
mean, yeah, there was maybe a little bit too much honesty where I kind of like I collected a lot of information about the game pre-launch and I was like cross-referencing things. I'm like, this developer said this how come this isn't in the game? And it's like, these
That's
same
fair.
developers are the ones that gave me the code, and I just kind of felt bad. But I mean, I guess yeah, that's part of the job. But I don't know. I've been kind of an icon in the Serious Sam community, I guess, if you want to say that. And
Sure.
my opinion carries a lot of weight. And I maybe feel like I did the team a little dirty with that initial take. I don't know.
You know, I'll tell you this. I've actually never talked about this like publicly on here, and like it's nothing like it hasn't come up, I guess. But have you heard of the Evercade console?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've almost kind of wanted one, but there are a few reasons why I didn't. I think the collections just haven't been too interesting to me. It's a lot of recycled content as far as retro gaming is aware.
Sure, and I will. I guess maybe I'm spoiling it a little bit. I do have a review you can check out of it, but I will say that that was actually one I felt a little bit guilty about. I can kind of understand that because I was reached out to someone who they're just, I guess, a someone I'm mutually cool with, and they were just like, "Hey, are you interested in this? Like, I can get you a hookup. Like, I can get you a system and like a few games and stuff if you're interested in reviewing it. You know, it's going to be around the holiday time." And I said, "Cool, let's do it." And I was actually really excited to try this thing out. And they went all out. Like they shipped it to me overseas. I got it within like 2 or 3 days.
That's
They gave
incredible.
me the console with like 14 cartridges. Like they went all
Wow.
out. Yeah, and I'm just like, "Oh my god." And dude, because of you, first of all, I wanted to really, really like it. I was genuinely excited for it. Secondly, like they went all out giving me all that stuff, and that was great. But I was just honest with my review. And in short, it was pretty much the emulation I feel like is lacking on this. There are a lot of things in the firmware and the OS itself, which I feel like are kind of lacking or questionable, and these can be either fixed or addressed in updates. The sound on here isn't really the best. I've run into some things which I'm not sure are issues with the games or issues with the emulation. And even lastly, I said this is kind of the most important thing, the D-pad on there after about 20, 30 minutes of play actually hurts my thumb. So this is a painful system to play. And it was like, I felt it, I guess I felt bad because it's like, I was given a lot of generosity with this, but at the same time, it's like, I got to do my job as a reviewer, and I'm just being super honest about this, and I'm being so critical because I wanted to like this so much. And it's one of those things where when you see something is just almost there, you're that much more critical about it. But that is to say, I certainly was not surprised when I didn't really hear anything back from the people I was corresponding with before. I didn't know about the Evercade Versus prior. I didn't get any more Evercade games. I didn't get an offer for an Evercade Versus, which I totally understand because I really didn't give it that good of a review. But I feel like I confidently did my job as a reviewer on that.
God, I'm having weird flashbacks right now. There is something very similar that happened to me. You know those little Chinese kind of knockoff handhelds that come with it's hard to categorize these because they're not quite the things of like 5, 10 years ago. It's been more of like a,
Are
well,
you
I
talking
guess
about the
maybe.
things with like Switch analog sticks on there, and it could be like the
Oh
RG
yeah,
something something
that's one
something?
of
And
the POW kitties. I'm aware of that. Yeah,
yeah.
POW kitty, RG 360M, those things.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was a period in time where I was being requested to talk about those like every week. Somebody was trying to send me something new.
Hmm.
At one point, I had two different people send me a product that was almost exactly the same, and they both wanted me to make individual videos about it. And I'm just thinking, okay. And then at one point, I made a video about one of them, and I can't remember what exactly happened, but there was this really rude guy in the comments who was really trying to nag on just about every single thing I was saying. Like I said, I tried to play Yoshi's Island on this, and it wasn't like the sound was a little bugged. And then he really kind of got mad at me for not testing out the other core. I wasn't even super familiar with RetroArch at that point. At least I don't think I
Sure.
was. But I don't know. There are a number of elements in this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of didn't react the best to that comment. And then there was this whole discussion on some other private forum about FrameRater can't review old handhelds. And I was just like, I was really frustrated because it's like, I didn't even want to make these in the first place. They were like paid videos, you know? I
Hmm.
don't know. And it's just like, and as I was making those, there was an active community of other people who were coming to the rise. if I'm thinking correctly, there's a guy like Retro Game Corps. He does really good reviews of these things, and I'm just thinking like I am actively making myself look horrible by not giving these much attention because I'm sorry, but I don't really like them that much. I
Hmm.
don't, and it's like after the point when I've got this in my hand, I've been paid for the review. What do I do? I'm not going to just tell people that this is an amazing product when I disagree. But the weird thing is, it seems like most of the audience thinks that they're great. And I don't really understand that because these things, they fall apart. Like in many ways, they barely work. I'm so confused. And it's a group of people who are really invested in the single board gaming kind of communities. These
Yeah.
people are very, very dedicated. And if you talk dirty about one of them that a community seems to like, you get into a lot of trouble
Hmm.
basically. And that, like, after that incident, I was like, I'm done with these. I'm not doing these no more. I'm gonna go back to FrameRater things because it's like
Sure.
this is not a community I'm a part of. Clearly, I'm gonna back off from this one.
And I guess I can understand that. Now, funny enough, I don't know. I don't think I've actually been offered any of those devices. I have
Which is
messaged
very
one.
strange because
Yeah.
I've never been offered anything like really cool like an Evercade. I mean,
Hmm.
recently I've been offered a portable monitor to review,
I
and
think I've gotten
that's
a few of those offers,
yeah,
but I'm just
that
like, I don't feel like this is not my forte of reviewing.
it's
So it
not really mine either, but it was a really good opportunity. I'll just
sure,
word it like that.
sure.
So I'm gonna have to make that. And these videos they do not perform well at all. So I was
Hmm.
thinking of releasing that video and then the Atari Jaguar video the next day because I know it's not gonna do well.
I understand. Yeah, I think for because the Evercade one, it didn't do super well or anything, which I was expecting on there. But even with
If
that
I'm
as
not
well
mistaken,
too.
I think I
Yeah.
might have seen that video you did. Were you one of the first people who did a review on it?
No, I was actually probably
No.
one of the last people, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
funny
So
because
maybe I didn't.
I don't remember if I've seen many reviews, but like overall, and it's kind of funny because I had that same feeling with it, where when I was messing with it, I was like, do people rave about these and people get excited for them, and
Oh
like
yes.
I see like the coolness of it, mainly like the honestly the cartridge idea, the pricing there is cool. You get a really everything feels nice if you're a physical collector. What is it, the manuals, all that, the physical games are done right, that's awesome. But then when I was playing it, I'm like, well, I understand some stuff is an opinion, but like it's not an opinion that my thumb hurts after 20 or 30 minutes of using this thing. And there's like some other issues that I'm seeing here. And like I'm on the latest firmware update for the console and everything. So like am I seeing some, and that was kind of another struggle too. I'm like, what am I missing here? Because
Yeah.
it doesn't seem as great as people are. I don't see when I'm actually playing, seeing it like on my screen and all that, and like, wanting to purchase one, I can get the excitement. But then actually handling one, using it, I'm like, well, this, like, where is the excitement for this? And I
And
was,
that's
I,
another thing that
yeah,
eludes me is the fact that most of the people who own these things are also already going to own a lot of other things that do very similar things. And it's like,
hmm,
you, is it like, I'm sure you would agree that it's not, but I would ask the question, is it wrong to say that what you already have is better than this and you don't need this? Like,
I don't think so. No, I think it's just, it's something cool. It's something neat to see. You also don't have to, well, except for like the Evercade, but I'm talking like those Android devices, or like the little retro consoles that you had. You don't have to modify them by any means. Although even
that is
people,
one element of appeal, but honestly,
although even people do. I'll just say that real quick. There's even custom firmware for those.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't. It's a weird topic because like if you really get down to it as well, you can just use your phone.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I know it's not always practical, but there are like devices you can attach to your phone that make it like a full-on game console if you really want it to be, or just buy a new phone if you want and use your old one for retro games. I don't really, if you want a dedicated handheld console to do emulator things, get a PSP and learn a little bit about tinkering because that is the most fun that I think that you're going to have.
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think a lot of the time with retro games with me, I think retro games are fun, but I think it's almost more fun to kind of learn how to play these games in a great way. And
Hmm.
there's definitely entire communities built around that too.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I know, I guess the simpleton wants to just get the games right away, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like you are really missing out by not enjoying the little things that you got to learn. And now, don't get me wrong, some of these things are way out of the league. Like again, those little handhelds, the RG 360 and the POW kitties and whatever. If you want to install custom firmware on those, or tinker with those at all, you can't just like USB connect these things. At least maybe you can now. The newer models, I'm not sure. I haven't gotten any of the newer ones, but as of like a year ago and before that, maybe 2 years ago, it might have been a little bit of a while ago now. But you would have to like download an FTP program. You'd have to plug this in. You'd have to find the IP address on the device, and it's like, I get it, for you and me, that's not such a problem, but literally all of my friends, every single one of my friends that I know personally, they would never do that. And yet I
Mhm.
could give them a PSP and they could figure out how to put ROMs on it like in a couple hours, if
Yeah.
even that, like less than an hour.
Mhm.
I don't think I don't want to install all these different softwares and these new program hacks to uh, go through this small little device where now, honestly, I could just pull out my PSP.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I mean, the PSP, it's still a quality device and everything. Even, geez, almost 20 years later, my
It
God.
is, it is,
But
and there's even a
I'll still
there's
go
there's
back to
a
the PSP.
yeah, there's a Dreamcast emulator that's still being worked on for the PSP. God
Yeah, that
forbid.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that is one dedicated scene. There were a couple of years where the PSP was kind of dead, though, even in the
Hmm.
homebrew community. I want to say between like 2011 and 2015, kind of. It's like nobody was doing any homebrew work whatsoever on PSP. Of course, I know I'm wrong. I'm sure there's at least some efforts, but like it was
Sure.
really slow at that point.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
but people are getting nostalgic for it again, so you're even
Yeah,
seeing
people
more
are definitely
advancements and
picking it back
stuff,
up.
and it's great. I'd love to see it. So I even like I messed with my PSP Go even pretty recently as well. So that's like one of my favorites I like to go to. But like occasionally out, funny with the name, but no, I will still at times I'll just kind of get a bug and pick up one of my PSPs, charge it up, like make sure the games on it are games I want to play, and just kind of really delve into my PSP for a few weeks. That is like my favorite handheld ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss my actual PSP. I have just a PSP Go now, and like I gotta be honest, the benefits kind of they outweigh the negatives.
Hmm.
But the thing about the PSP Go is, like, again, no UMD drive, and I don't know. This is probably a personal thing, but I just don't think the Go is as comfortable to hold.
It's not, because
No.
it's small. It's a small little
And the
guy.
most important thing about a game system, at least to me, is if you can control it well.
Hmm.
Like, you need to have a good interface. And I with the Jaguar console library I'm doing recently, that's my biggest problem with the Jaguar is the controller is like the D-pad and the buttons are slanted and then there's a keypad underneath. So you have to actively like push your thumbs and like both your thumbs much forward than you usually would, and it really hurts your thumb muscle towards like the back of your
Mm.
palm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
I get it. I don't think I've
Spilling
played
random
a
tangents today.
No, it's all good. I don't think I've played a Jaguar actually. I mean, I've seen the controller. I think
I
I've
don't think
held the
many
controller,
people
but I've never
have.
actually played a Jaguar. Yeah, and then oh well, how many people have played a Jaguar CD? The space toilet.
Well, I mean, if you've played a Jaguar, you've pretty much played Jaguar CD. It's
Okay.
like I don't even think the games are really that discernibly different. The only thing is, I think you get CD quality audio. I don't believe there's any extra horsepower in the CD unit, like in general. If my theory is Atari omitted these features so that you could buy extra peripherals once the console was out already. I don't know so much about the
Gotcha.
CD unit, but I guess they were kind of taking notes off Sega for that. But I mean, the Sega
Yeah.
CD, while popular, wasn't like a huge success. So I don't know why Atari thought, man, Atari was bonkers during that
S-
generation.
CD was just the new big thing at the time, which I ended up being big for sure.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
now all those old games are rotting.
yeah, exactly. I will say shout out to Adam Korlick for the whole like space toilet mention thing, which I learned from him with his I think Jaguar CD video, which by the way, like for anybody listening, just seriously look up the Jaguar CD like console connected to the Atari Jaguar. It looks like a space toilet.
Yeah, yeah. Adam Korlick, have you talked to that guy before?
Yeah, I have
Yeah, he
actually.
seems like he makes some really good stuff. I that's one of those names. There's always a couple names in the back of my head where it's like I've seen his videos pop up and they're always really good. I like to think some people think that way about me, but probably not so much.
No, dude, I love your videos, love your content, got love for Adam too. I'm kind of laughing because like so I actually even like recently got to meet up with Adam Korlick as
Oh,
well. I will
cool.
say something that is never conveyed in his videos is that the rate of food that like that man consumes and how fast he consumes it is unreal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish I could live a life like that. Ever since I got married, my belly's just been like expanding.
I
And
mean,
I'm just
well,
like, oh, I got to cut back now. In the past, I was told I got to eat more. Now I got to eat less.
I mean, I think Adams
When
is
will it
too,
end?
and but like the thing is, it's just like we were out at dinner, and he's just like a vacuum with his food, and that was like his second dinner, and then even like the next day, I think he had like at least like 2 or 3 breakfasts, and I'm just like,
My God, yeah. I mean,
how, how?
man. I wish I could eat like that. Well, then again, I wish I could eat like that, but I don't wish I could be fat.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah,
all
no,
these back
I
and
totally,
forth.
I totally
My
get that.
metabolism was the best. It was unprecedented growing up. What happened?
We got old. That's what
Like
happened.
you hit one age. Like I hit 25 and then it's like boom.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and some people they don't put on the weight. I know like my girlfriend for example, she can just eat like an impressive amount of food and I'm like, "Where does this go?" Like where does it go? I'm seeing it's going in your mouth, but like it's not showing like where does this go? Where
I
did
guess
you
some
hide
people
this?
have a better ability to uh their bodies are better able to dispense the fat contents through God, this is going to get disgusting if I keep talking about this. There's like, you eat fat foods. Does your body put it on your belly or does it come out the you
Does
know
it
where I'm
forcefully exit? Do you have
Yeah, like I
diarrhea?
think some
Yeah.
people are better some people's bodies are better. Is this just metabolism? Am I just
It's
like coming up with a weird way to
it's
explain
metabolism
metabolism?
and it's also just how certain people will like react to things and all that. So it's like I know
FrameRater is not a health professional. Please
no,
do not
we're not
refer
health
to anything
professionals,
he's
but
saying today.
I do know one of my this is jeez, we've been in this for so long. It was almost 2 years ago at this point. There was one time like I was with some of my family, and one of my family members had some food at like an outdoor get together type thing, and within like an hour started feeling sick. And we got her back, and she was just like laying down, not feeling that great. And at first thought was, oh God, is this COVID? Because this is like before the
Mm.
vaccine or any of that. So we were all
Ooh,
still being
yeah.
careful. And then we're just like, no, but it was within like an hour. There's no way. And so I just I was talking to her. I was like, hey, so what foods did you eat? And I was like, oh, well, I had a soda and I had, some cake and some chicken tenders and, some of the fries. And I was like, oh, you're not sick. This is what happened. You eat pretty healthy and you ate like a 12-year-old. And you ate all that stuff at once, which is horrifying. So, no, you're gonna be okay. You're just gonna like probably have diarrhea a few times, and like sometime tomorrow you should be okay.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's like if you ate like this like normally, you'd be okay. But the thing is, you normally eat pretty healthy, so all of a sudden you just drop like a bomb of like eating like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a friend who comes over sometimes. He will eat like an animal and it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just thinking like, well, I'm here, gotta watch my weight. And this guy
Hmm.
stuffs his face. It's horrible. It's like I want to be in that place.
Hmm.
I think everything
Yeah.
just rhymed, and I didn't intend for
It,
that, but it was
it,
beautiful.
yeah, let's say it works out. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's funny we're talking about food. I actually want to tell you about a food thing that happened.
sure.
I have been getting free food because I guess it stopped, but it was 2 nights in a row. I got like Grubhub or some other service delivered to me for free because I am convinced that it wasn't a misdelivery. I think somebody kept ordering food and they were putting the wrong address on there and they didn't realize it was the wrong address.
At first, I was scared this was going to be a pyramid scheme.
No, 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 no. Thank goodness, no. I'm very anti MLM, but
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. Is there like there's got to be some responsibility in these couriers where it's like it's this person's name. But I guess yeah, if you put the directions on like skip the dishes, they will just come knock to your door, you come get the food and then yeah,
mhm.
Bob's the word, if that's a saying. Is that what
Yeah,
they say?
Bob's your uncle, I think.
Bob's your uncle, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, with this, it was one night I had Taco Bell, which was actually a very nice surprise because okay, I'm not crazy about Taco Bell, but the thing is, I was out walking my dog and I was like, what am I gonna have for dinner? What am I gonna have for dinner? I come home, there's a bag of Taco Bell right there, and I was like, is this like one of my neighbors? No, they're not
Your
eating
secret
it. Okay.
admirer.
I even thought of that, and I'm like, well, no, this is like kind of a weird order. And it was obviously for like multiple people, and then like I ate it, and I totally ate it at once because I was hungry. And also, Taco Bell doesn't really save very well, so that was fine. But no, I had that, and there was no receipt or anything there. But then the next day, I end up saving this for later because I had already had dinner. But like later that night, it was the same thing. Like delivery person came, they put a bag down, took a photo, knocked at my door, left. That was it. And it was Buffalo Wild Wings, and it was like something for like it seemed like according to like the name and everything, like a mom and their kid. Um, but it was just so it was so specific. Like it happened twice in a row, and I was like, I really don't think this is a misdelivery here. Or they're taking it to the wrong address. I think the person who's ordering this stuff is just putting the wrong address in. And after two nights in a row, they ended up realizing what they did. So I'm sure they end up putting in the right address. But to answer your question on there, from what I understand, no. Like once a food delivery person leaves the food there, they're not going to come back. They just they put
Well,
it, they
yeah.
put in the order as delivered, and that's it. But then if you are ordering food and it's misdelivered, you can file a complaint to Grubhub. That was the second one in this case, and you would get your money back. You'll probably get some more credit as well too. And the person who delivered is probably going to get a ding on their delivery record.
I think in a perfect universe, there would be like a button that you could press that says "I didn't get my food," and then it's like we're on it. We've got a team investigating it. But I feel like that's just too many. That's too many resources to put into such a thing like this.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
not a
and
financially like reasonable thing to include in your platform because it's like how many times could that be abused as well? It's a very that's like an all over the place discussion. I don't even know how you would handle that.
for sure, for sure. And I think I've even what is it like? Because I was talking with a few people about it. Like my girlfriend was the one who told me, like, yeah, they're probably going to get dinged for the record and stuff on there, and they'll get their money back.
Hmm.
But then even her
Your
and a few friends of
microphone
mine,
is
'cause
doing a lot of cutting in and out.
oh, yours was a little bit earlier before. Is this sounding okay?
Oh, okay.
I,
Yeah,
I hope
sounds
it's
better
fine.
now. I couldn't
Okay.
make out that last sentence at all.
Oh, no, so I was saying that, what is it? There's been my girlfriend was telling me more about, the delivery driver kind of getting a ding on there, if that's reported as, a misdelivery or something. But her and some of my friends had said this, like, the first time it happened, I actually I brought it in and then I put the food back out and I was like, hey, I'm going to leave it there for like 15 minutes in case they come back. And everyone was telling me, they're just like, no, 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 dude. When the delivery driver makes their food, that's the end of it. Like it doesn't come back.
Yeah,
So like you putting the food out there, you're doing nothing but either wasting the food or letting it get cold. Just bring it in and just have a free meal.
right. Yeah, right. So I was going to ask, are there any like new things that you're doing for your channel, like new videos and new ideas, maybe new collabs and stuff that you got going on?
I will be honest. No, I haven't had anything on that. I have been excited for like some of the more like I guess some developments I've seen in the modding scenes and covering those and everything. But no, in terms of like either like a new series or something else, or even collaborations. I think this is the most I collaborate here, where it's really on Mario's Minute. But no, that's been about
Right,
it for
right.
me. I just go with the flow for my channel. I don't plan out a whole ton. Like I'll schedule my videos in advance and everything, but I don't have like, like a list of what I want to do or goals or anything. I kind of just try to have fun with it. What about you?
I'd like to get to the point where I'm just having fun with it. Right now, I'm trying to do my best to bring the rates up a little. I know, yeah, because of the
Are
wedding
you
and all
talking about
that, I
like
haven't been.
CPM and everything, like monetary rates?
Yeah, I because when the wedding was going on, I wasn't able to really work at all, and now I'm trying hard to get back on tasks here. but it's like you got all these other things like we got to go get groceries, we got to go get our vaccinations and all
Hmm.
this stuff. I mean, vaccinations, that's no different. You're doing that before as well. I'm just trying to think, like, everyday things. A lot of that gets a little more complicated when you're married. It's like there's two people now rather than just one. Of course, the benefits again they outweigh the negatives. You split rent, you split food, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Regarding my channel and like I'm trying to think of like some new directions. Like I'm always doing the console libraries, the retro game system talk, and then the Serious Sam things. I know there's like feature videos. That's been a recent thing that people really like. I do like feature length, almost playthrough commentaries, which have actually been very successful. They're highly edited. They're not just like a live stream I did.
Sure.
Um, so it's like I the process of making those videos is I play the game and I record the game and I have like thoughts in my head while I'm playing the games. And then I'll go back and like watch that and write notes for every like couple of seconds as I'm playing and be like, okay, I'll voice over what was going through my mind at this point. And then I also try to have like fun facts and stuff in there. And that's basically what the feature series is. I've had difficulty figuring out which games I want to do feature videos on. I have a few ideas. There was like one game one game that I was primarily thinking at one point was Earth Defense Force 2017. It has like a console version, it has a portable version. They're both similar but kind of different. There's like new levels and stuff. There'd be a lot to talk about there. The only thing is covering Earth Defense Force games in the past, they did not get many views. But like, and I know there's the argument, well, it's not about views, and I know that, but it's like when you're also trying to make this your living, and one of the interesting things, an interesting development I think I would talk about is the fact that before I was married, I didn't have the ability to move out. And this is a very difficult city to live in. Of course, I'm not going to disclose anything, but
Sure.
like, it's very industrialized. There's hardly any jobs you can work where you have scoliosis, as I've told you before. Sitting at a computer is like the best option for me, and I just did not have enough money to move away from the city. If I'm gonna work again, like I feel like it's got to be out of here. It's got to be somewhere else.
Hmm.
This is a very dead place. Now my wife came from very developed cities where there's skyscrapers and everything and tons of people, and that's something that we're probably going to get used to as well as a couple in the future because I'm sure we're going to move somewhere else like that. And then that's going to be better. And then my work schedule, the ability to work on YouTube again goes down. Trying to remember where I was taking this conversation somewhere specifically. Um,
I
uh,
was I was gonna say I don't even mind interjecting on here because this is even one thing you and I have privately talked about this, but even one thing is that first of all, major respect to the hustle and everything because I know you're doing this full time and all that. But even just hearing like a lot of the worries that you have, I guess, and I'm not trying to I guess put myself in another position or anything. I guess it's more I'm happy I don't have that because for me personally, so for if anybody doesn't know, I don't do YouTube full time, even with my channel the size it is, or and all that. I have a full time job and career completely different from YouTube, so that's what kind of affords me the ability to like, hey, if a video does a million views on YouTube, actually maybe I don't really want that, that's too much attention, but like if a video only gets like 300 views, it's like holy shit, that's 300 people that want to watch that. That's pretty cool, and that's kind of why I'm just kind of more lackadaisical with a lot of my YouTube stuff because if my
Probably the
channel
better
does
approach
well,
to take. Yeah.
yeah, if my channel does well, awesome. If my channel's not doing great, that's not the best. Like you don't want to root for failure, but
Yeah.
it allows me to enjoy that and still. Now there are times, there's things I have to do for the channel that are work, and there is level of professionalism on here for sure. But it's still very much something that I enjoy doing. So it's like, hey, if I don't feel like covering this or if this doesn't excite me, I really don't have to do that. It doesn't matter to me if I only make 2 cents off this video. Well, that's a little bit disappointing, but that's fine. At least I'm not reliant on this here, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked about this because before you had done your break, which I did want to talk with you about that on. I know there were many times like you were kind of like even with the podcast, you were talking to me about this, and there was just a lot of times you'd have worry with like, hey, like I've thought of doing something like this, but I'm not sure if I should put it on another channel or if I put it on my main channel, then it's not going to get viewed as well, and then it can make the channel perform worse and all that. But this seems to be doing okay. And I'm just kind of like, I upload this and a few people listen. That's pretty cool, but it's just there's so much added stress and worry to it,
There is, yeah.
unfortunately, when you're doing that all full time,
There
which
are
I don't envy that side of it. And that's that's one big reason why, because also a part of it is too, I know all this can just disappear or get ruined or whatever
of
overnight.
course, yeah.
I don't trust the platform. I really don't. I will enjoy it as much as I can, but I don't trust the platform.
Yeah, I feel like I did, and then I met my wife, and she's kind of been like steering me in the direction of like YouTube's cool and all, but I don't know if this is a future. And I'm just like, yeah, I do agree to that, especially because like I'm trying to figure out. Earlier, I had a connection between my there was a note I was going off of with my feature videos, and then how it led into my current life somehow. But I think what I was getting at is the type of content that I would make was very dependent on trying to make a living and what I was able to do within my restrictions. And since that has largely changed, and I'm able to eventually move out of this city, I know there was some point I was making earlier about the fact of moving out of the city would change a lot for me. And then, like, if I move out of the city, I would be able to get a proper job somewhere, probably, maybe in the media field or something like that, where I preferably something I can sit at a chair.
Hmm.
Because I tell you that back, it really hurts after being up, standing up for more than like an hour and a half. It's bad.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So just trying to see what happens with that, and I would like to go in the kind of the direction that you're talking about, where it's a lot more simple living,
Hmm.
and just enjoying the hobby. And even at that point, I bet you I'd be able to make better videos, maybe at a lesser frequency, because I'm not rushing to get something out to make a little extra money so that I can do this month or that, you know?
Yeah, and it becomes a thing where it's like because like obviously I have less time for YouTube because it's not my full time thing, but because of that I value my time with it that much more, and it's something that I still very much look forward to working on. It's a fun thing to me, and that's just how it is to me. I guess I will even say on that with what you're talking about, if you're talking about like getting a media job and everything. Um a lot of it is also not pigeonholing yourself as like a YouTuber, where you can always there's skills and there's things that you pick up with this, and you can always
Right.
use those marketable skills and kind of branch off into anything, whether even if you want to do gig work remotely or whatever it is, whether it be, I don't know, doing voiceover stuff, doing editing for another channel, whatever it might be. Like, it's just a pin there, it's open ended there, but it
Yeah,
really
there's a
just
lot of
it doesn't
branches.
yeah, it doesn't end at just being a YouTuber. It's like, well, you can take the skills that you've learned and then figure it out from there. Because I'll even tell you, like, my what I do on YouTube doesn't have anything to do with like the day jobs that I have or have had in the past,
Yeah.
but my YouTube channel has helped, whether it's just even, being able to talk to people, being able to convey certain things, but even straight up getting positions as well too, where I've had people who've said, I looked at your YouTube channel and you do this and this and this really well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can help out in very unexpected ways.
Yeah, I know that we've talked about earlier in this podcast. We talked about do I put it on this channel or that channel?
Hmm.
One thing I've thought of doing recently is creating smaller little channels that I will make very dedicated content on. One thing that has always been kind of an issue on FrameRater is it's very unfocused. There's this, there's that. I guess a lot of the time. On my channel, it's been I make whatever the heck I want at any given time. There have been people
Hmm.
that have argued with me, Frame, you would be significantly more popular or doing better on this platform if you had multiple channels where you did these certain things. Like if I had a channel dedicated to console libraries and console libraries only, it might be doing really well, but it's the other stuff that keeps people from subscribing in the first place. So like that always brings me to the thought of like, what
Hmm.
if I made a bunch of other smaller channels? And one of them recently, I know this is kind of left field for my channel, but as I like to think pretty much everything I've done on my channel is left field because it's always just an amalgamation of whatever I've enjoyed in my life, and I make content based on that. One thing that I've almost never really shared on my channel, other than the occasional times where I tried to see if this would work and it didn't really, was I wanted to make videos on just one specific game, and it is Animal Crossing. And you might be thinking, okay, so the new Animal Crossing. No, I'm talking the original one on the GameCube. There is so much depth to that game. There's so much you can do that I feel like a lot of people have kind of like forgotten about or underappreciated. And I don't even know, like maybe the newer games do it better. I've only played them a handful of times, but for some reason, the original has this amazing charm to it that I love so much, and I think people would understand if they played it. Nonetheless, I've actually made a channel already based on that, and I posted 1 or 2 videos, but I'm not really advertising it yet. I just want to see how that does. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know if you're aware of the channel Marcel Voss, where he does videos on Roller Coaster Tycoon
I,
exclusively.
I'm not, no.
Yeah, well, he does videos like, hello, everyone. Today I'd like to discuss if the park benches actually do anything, or I'd like to figure out what's the cheapest way that you can beat this park with this set amount of roller coasters or whatever. And I think that kind of content is really interesting if it's a game that you've grown up putting a lot of time into and you really love. And the first Animal Crossing game, there is a world of content there that it seems like nobody's picked up on. And it's possible that it could crash and burn, but it's just something I think I'd like doing on the side. And it's like little things like that I enjoy. It's like I don't want to be this full-on game journalist all the time. If anyone like is out there watching and they've been aware of FrameRater since like the very beginning, I have deleted so many videos. Like at the beginning of the channel, it was like I was even doing some Ray William Johnson nonsense at one point. It's like I was always trying to do just whatever stuck and whatever felt fun. And like a lot of that I've posted and I've deleted. And now like my channel is just a wall of game journalist scripts and editing and stuff. I also do feel that like that gives me a very good resume representation where it's all very like streamlined and kind of like quote unquote professional. I know I make stupid jokes, but it's like, it's meant to be presentation format, I guess. So
Yeah.
that makes it good for bringing into the work world. And then I'm thinking like these other little channels I could do with this other like focused content. But honestly, man, if I were to get right down to it, I just want the plaque. I want that 100K plaque to just put on the wall and look so awesome. And then like past that point, I've even said this, like I might start live streaming. I might start doing more things that I actually like to do on this platform because I feel like I've shot for the moon and I reached what's closer to the earth than the moon? I reached for the sun.
Clouds?
I guess that's one example. I've reached for the moon, but I've only reached the clouds, and that's okay because the clouds is a hell of an accomplishment.
It is.
And then at that point, like I have the bragging rights. I can say like I brag about 100K, whatever. With how much work I've put into my channel, I can brag about the 100K.
Mm-hmm.
I can say that. And that won't be too far off because I'm at 99.07K right now.
Yeah, you'll get there easily, no doubt. And I know it's you're not a braggadocious type. I get it. You're humble, and that's like, and there's nothing wrong with wanting that. I will say, like my plaque, that was the thing for me too. Like originally, like I was just like, yo, having 1,000 subscribers would be so cool. And then like
everyone's at that point at some point. Yeah. And like I went back to look at my old Twitter posts on like archive.org, and it's like not only do I see some horrible takes, but I also see me celebrating milestones that are just so insignificant. Wow, I got 3 likes on this thing I made. I'm so happy. I feel popular. It's like, no, but you idiot.
No. I'm going to say even go back on that. That is something that you made out of nothing. You put onto this big giant platform, and 3 random people that you might never ever encounter decided to like that. That's cool.
I don't know. I don't really think so. I think it's kind of like I don't know. I guess I look back on those days kind of in like embarrassment or cringe, and it's just like I when I think back to that, I'm just like, no, take me away from that headspace no matter what. It's like I don't want to go back there.
I guess I look at it from a different approach, because it's even like, let's say if like a friend is talking to me and there's like, yeah, I only have like 2,000 subscribers. I'm just like, Dude, like, I remember that struggle. That's impressive. You got 2,000 subscribers from like 2,000 people were interested enough to subscribe in like whatever it is that you're doing. And they might say, well, dude, I mean, you got so many. It's like, honestly, those smaller milestones are more, there's more to accomplish. There's more to celebrate there because it's so much more exciting at that point. Cause like at this point, like for a while now, I've really stopped caring about channel growth because it's like, my channel just grows. Like it just grows organically at this point. But like when it was a really small channel, it was a struggle getting those subscribers, getting people to click the subscribe button. And this isn't even me begging for it because I've never like I think out of my 1,000 plus videos, I've asked people to subscribe less than 5 times. Like I have never focused on that. I've never
Right.
tried to push it, is what I'm saying. But like that's always impressive to me, just seeing somebody have even like a little bit of a grassroots thing. It's like, hey, yeah, I only have, 1,500 followers, or this video got like 400 views. I'm like, that is impressive to me. Like, your channel is small. You're just starting out. You're getting that. That's so cool to me.
If there's one thing I've learned about doing YouTube and observing the public audience and crowds for a long time, like people who are starting out, is that a lot of the time it has to do with skill. I know people say there's an element of luckiness or unluckiness, and there is, but I've seen channels that have literally started with one video, and they will have 300,000 subscribers with 6 videos. They just pumped
Yep.
out 6 really really good, like top of the level, like AAA TV studio videos. And the
Hmm.
fact is, anyone can really make a video like that. It's just like, do you have the skills to do it yet? And it's like when I was making videos on FrameRater originally, Doom 2 review, uh 6 years ago, something like maybe 7 now. At that point I thought, this is the epitome. What's the word for a height? This is my height.
I
That
guess, yeah, the epitome. Yeah.
this is the epitome of my work or whatever. And I go
Hmm.
back on that now, I'm just like, this is incredibly rough. So I think a lot of the time where it's like you started out small and it took you so long to get to this milestone, I think it usually makes sense why. And I don't mean that in a mean way whatsoever, but there's always been these, I've tried to reach out to smaller creators to try to get them some viewership, especially in the past, when I was a bit of a smaller channel,
Yeah.
probably between like 40 and 70K, when I was always trying to reach out to smaller people. One of the ideas there was actually because I figured these people were going to do better than me. Like I tried to reach out to people who were smaller than me, who I thought would be end up being better than me because they were more focused and they had a better idea of what they were doing. And it's like, I was kind of waiting on their popularity so that people would look up their name and be like, oh, he made a video with FrameRater, let's check that out. And then maybe they
So
would,
planting seeds.
yeah, planting seeds, kind of. I've never actually said that publicly, but a lot of the time in the past when I did collabs, it was kind of like future. It was like making content for the future. It's like, nobody's gonna watch this now, but if this guy gets really popular, they're gonna come back and watch this, and they might check out me. Of course,
Hmm.
I was very selective with who I worked with, though. I would only work with people who I knew were professional and very good. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people that I reached out to were very skilled and very good. Almost everyone I've collabed with, literally almost everyone I've collabed with, is bigger than me now. For some reason,
Hmm.
I have a great ability to pick out talent, but I can't apply much of it to my own work.
You know what? That sounds like a marketable skill right there.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, you're working on your resume already.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very proud of these guys. One guy I worked with in the past who's recently kind of blown up. His name is K Bash. I told him to do a review with me because he did a review on a game called Ribbit King, which I thought was really good. I was always looking up videos of that game because nobody ever talked about it, and it is a really good game. I suggest people check it out. It's a golf game with frogs. How could you go wrong? Um, so yeah, I remember asking him, "Hey, let's do a game," and I'd like, well, in my list I got Rayman Arena, and then we did Rayman Arena together, and I think the review was okay. And it's like his presentation has gotten a lot better. His script reading, I'm just going back to the script reading again. He's so good at script reading. Why can't I be good at script reading? But yeah, all good times. And I wished K Besh well recently. He's a very good guy. He likes doing RPG videos. Definitely not my field. And yeah. There's been a couple other people. Decino, I did GBA Doom review.
Hmm.
and that went really well. And he blew up just not even much long after we did that video together. He's done some really great videos on the Doom stuff. I'm trying to think, are there other examples I can think of? There's been a lot of collabs I did in the past that I had to get rid of because controversies.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I know this is kind of bringing it back, but I know we were even talking about the plaque too. I know you're going to get your plaque. I have no doubt about that. You're going to enjoy the hell out of it. It's a great feeling. I won't spoil that. Like, I know you're going to enjoy that there. But I will say one thing that's been afterwards, and I'm not sure if you've had this with friends or family or something, but my family, like, at least, the older people in the family, they don't understand the YouTube thing. They're just like, what you like, they're still trying to wrap their head around it. They're just like, you like
My
put
dude, try
video stuff. Yeah.
try explaining this to like gee, how old? Like 60 or 70-year-old Bangladesh people. It is, you can't. It's like, why isn't he a doctor? And I'm just
it,
like, cuz I'm
it's
not a doctor. I'm sorry, you didn't get too lucky with this one, but I'm a nice guy and I treat
oh my
well.
god. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you know
Yeah.
what? That's better than a
And the
doctor
modern
at times.
generation seem to think that's where it matters most, and that
Yes.
that is where it matters most. As long as you can make a family work together and you're
Hmm.
making the money to live a happy life, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And I'm glad modern generations are kind of more lenient in that direction. Of course,
For
doctors,
sure.
absolutely, doctors are very important. And if the only doctors in here exist because their parents were really forcing them to be doctors, then God forbid we need to have these parents that are forcing their children to be doctors, or else we're
Yep.
going to have no doctors. But
So
yeah.
I guess with like my plaque, for example, I've had family members who, the younger family members, they get it. I don't have to explain it to them. Older family members, they will ask like what I do on YouTube, and I'm just like, I'm not even going to explain it again. Just look at my channel. You can see what's going on there. But I will say the one big benefit with it, it's just seeing their reaction with the plaque. It's not like they break down into like tears and freak out or anything, but it's kind of just a respect they have, or like they look at it and it's like a diploma or something else where they see it and they still don't fully understand what's going on, but they'll look at it, they'll take a picture, they'll be impressed, and it's just kind of a thing of like, wow, okay, I understand a little bit more what he does. This is more serious than I thought.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it took a while for my parents to look at it that way. I think it was at the beginning. It was really awkward because I had to record in my parents' basement.
Yep.
Actually, the first couple videos I did were I recorded at college. I remember I used a computer microphone in noble times. Um, and then when I had to actually start doing it at home, because I had a job at the college for a while there, and then when that stopped, I had to go back home to do all the recording. Um, so yeah, that was a turn. And I guess when my parents started seeing that, I was actually racking in numbers. I remember, gee, this goes way back when I was doing the God, I don't even know if you would know about this, but in like 2017, before I made some of the other retro game content that I got popular for on the good old YouTubes, there was like basically meme stuff. There was the Uganda Knuckles thing. Before that
Hmm.
was Uganda Knuckles, it was Knuckles Sings, and I had like 3 frames of animation to apply to an animated segment by Greg Zilla on one of his Sonic reviews, and I just made him sing different songs. And then I actually knew a thing or two about animation myself. I wasn't particularly great at it, but I incorporated my own little elements, and a lot of that stuff got pretty good clickage indeed. But honestly, I couldn't monetize most of those. They were like third-party content matched. I
Yeah.
had to rely on other content I was making at the time to make money. And about around that time, I did a video which ended up being my most popular video, which was the Buck the Bunny kind of investigation thing for the
I
EB
love that
Games.
one. I love that video.
Yeah, I'm not like, I think the subject is what got clicks. I'm not like, I've gone back to that video here and there and like watched parts of it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's all right. And again, that's kind of where it comes to the bit where I'm like, I look back on older content and uh, a smaller subscriber count on my channel kind of with embarrassment, because it's just like I look back and I know why I wasn't doing great back then. It's because I wasn't great. And I know I'm not trying to like, oh, he's so humble. I'm not trying to do that. It's like, I
I
know I
get it.
wasn't great at that point, and I'm getting a lot better. And I think at this point, I really need to nail down the consistency with content like genres here, because that is what's going to keep the subscribers going up. I already know this Atari Jaguar thing. I'll post this and I'll get 100K within like a week, maybe. I don't want to eat my words here. That could be very wildly untrue. But I know those videos do extremely well. And it's like, gee, if only I could just make content like that. But the thing is, I'd have to put myself on full robot mode, because some of those videos are really, really boring to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
get it.
I had a content about GameCube console library. I did up to the letter D, and I just got so fed up with the complications. A lot of people say, "Oh, FrameRater, you were just you must have just been hating all those third-party games," and like people were like they were understanding, but I don't think anybody actually understood what the problem really was. There were a number of situations. Like one of the biggest things was the fact that not every GameCube game works on Dolphin. A lot of third-party games that nobody talks about just don't work on Dolphin, and
Mhm.
I had to load it up on my Wii, which is a little bit of a hassle. I've further modded my Wii, and it's easier to do now. But back then, I was using a really weird way to play GameCube games on Wii, and not only that, but the cable I had through the Elgato capture card, for some reason, everything was really high pitched and like skipping, and it was just a huge pain in the ass all the time. And then, yeah, of course, there's also playing a bunch of third-party games that you have no interest in. There's like fighting games. I'm sorry, I'm not a fighting game person. There's sports
Mhm.
games. I'm sorry, I'm just not a sports games person. And the thing is, you get so much criticism from videos like that. Most like a lot of the time on things that you had very little ability to prepare or even change, because it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't really think I'm gonna learn how to play football. And it's like,
Sure.
I mean, I know there are some people who go to the length like, I'm going to learn all these sports and all these things for this video. It's like, I would gladly do that if I was a team, but I'm not. I'm one guy. I got to put out videos to get the ad rev. I got to be able to feed myself. And I feel like a lot of my past on this platform has been like kind of uh, wrongly done, because a lot of content that I made back then, I'd have to rush together,
Yeah.
which unfortunately it took a lot of time to put those together, and it was very tiresome. I don't know. I'm trying to think about a way to word this, because I know like I don't want to make people upset and think that I'm like rushing content, but unfortunately the reality is in the past I have had to do that though, because I had
Mhm.
to make the money that I needed, especially if there were certain life events coming up that I had to pay a lot of money for. Yeah,
Mhm.
all that
And
stuff.
I think that's sympathetic on there. I mean, I'm noticing two things. One of them is that you're your harshest critic, and I
Oh,
know
absolutely.
you strive for better, which is good. But you're incredibly harsh with your older stuff, which it's like, I mean, that's a whole thing to unpack right there. We all learn. Like we all
Yeah,
have to come from somewhere. We're not going to be born experts on anything, but
sure.
I will say with the console library stuff and the videos you do where you have to go through a ton of games, I do not envy that at all. I've had a taste of it with the Evercade. It wasn't as bad. I was able to kind of nail that down a bit more, but with the Xbox HDMI, I got that device like I got a pre-modded system months before it was available. I was having fun with it. I was trying it out. Like I was legitimately excited for it. But I remember and I'm sure you can attest this, one of the worst things was when I captured the gameplay footage, not because of technical issues,
Yeah, I think you
but
did tell me about this. Yeah.
I I might have, but it was I remember it, now girlfriend, but like at the time I was talking with one of my friends when I was doing this, and I was like, I just spent 8 hours on a Saturday playing these games and recording them, and I did not have fun with it because I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
actually playing these games for enjoyment. I was playing 8 hours worth of Xbox games to get footage.
And people seem to never be able to understand that. It's like you're playing games, you're having fun, you're making content, it's what you love to do. Playing video games inherently on its own is not always such a fun thing to do,
Mhm.
especially if it's testing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, because I like what I did even for that, I pretty much used that as my main console. So for about a month or two, I had fun with it. I didn't record anything. I had a lot of fun. I used it like I would be like a regular customer using the system. But then just that day, that's when I was, recording my B-roll, I didn't do A-roll that day, but I recorded like some B-roll stuff. And then I was recording all of my gameplay. And I was like, I literally sat here, quote unquote, playing Xbox games for 8 hours, but it was really just testing. It would be going in a game, loading up a save, recording this, or playing to this point, or playing this.
Right.
And
Yep.
it was just,
Very familiar with
it's
that.
not like I hated it, but it was just so robotic, and there was very little
You
enjoyment
do
with
hate it
that.
over time. I know
That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't
you've
continue
done
with
it
it.
a one-time 8-hour experience. With those every emulator on the X system videos that I
Oh
did,
God.
I had to do that every single day for like 2 weeks. It
No,
is
see, I don't want to do
horrible.
that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like,
horrible. That's what I at one point. Here's a rule I had, an unwritten rule. Every time my channel was dying, I had to force myself to make one of those videos because they always did really, really well. Always at the
mhm.
very top of my my videos, where it's like, what videos are performing the best this month or this week or the last 2 days, I think it is. And it's almost always the emulation on Wii and emulation on PSP videos. Those get clicks all the time. And
I
then one time I finally decided to do the Xbox, which turned out to be much less than like I didn't put as much effort into that one as I did the other ones, because if I
mhm.
were to do every emulator on the Xbox, I'd be here all day. There are just way too many of
And
them.
night.
That
Yeah.
system had so much. But then again, compared to the PSP, I don't know. The PSP had a lot too, and I think I went over most that I could find.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I mean, a lot of the Xbox stuff's been lost as well to time. A lot of those
Mhm.
old emulators. So I did my best, and that video did. I mean, it's sitting at a respectable view number, I think. But at the time, it didn't even make me that much money, and I was just really frustrated because I was trying to get those ad rates back up.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, in the past, it's always been a battle of what do I want to make versus what do I need to make. By the way, before I forget, there's been several times since you brought up the Xbox HDMI thing that I've been thinking I want to bring this up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a me to you thing, but you can keep this in the podcast. I don't care. A long time ago, I asked my audience if they'd like to see a video where I discussed Xbox originals playing on Xbox 360 and
Mhm.
like compatibilities and games that were basically broken, because I know a lot of Crash to Insanity is apparently unplayable, but it is an officially playable game according to their library. Now, I know that you can also expand the capabilities of the backwards compatibility if you have a modded 360. Now,
Yeah.
for anyone wondering, if I were to do a video where I talk about backwards compatibility and in that aspect, I would probably stay strictly to the games that are officially supported, and maybe do another video in the future about, hey, these are games that work great on here even though they weren't approved. I would love to do that, but modding a 360 is something that I can just not do because there's like no software way to do it. It's all hardware.
That's
Mr.
true.
Mario, if you can get one that's modded, I will buy it from you.
We'll talk about that after the show.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll talk
sure.
about that. Like
Because I have
I
like
will
thought to
help.
myself,
I help out friends. I'll say
Xbox
that. So
360, if I
yeah.
had a modded 360, there are so many videos I would like to do with that. And that would like
Mhm.
clear up some like content for the future. Like that would help a lot. I
Hell
have a
yeah.
modded PS3. I've wanted to do stuff with that actually, and I might do that at some point, but yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. No, no, dude, don't worry. We'll talk. Even if it's not after this, like we talk regularly
Yeah,
enough, so it's
yeah.
all good. We'll get
I
this
would
hashed
love a
out.
modded 360. It'd be the
Hell
best.
yeah. Oh, they're great. They're really great. Yeah, even just the convenience factor where it's like, like the homebrew emulation's not like crazy like compared to the
Oh,
original
I just,
Xbox on
for the
there,
most part, it's
but
just the original Xbox that I want to
yeah,
do.
it's
Yeah.
it's nice just having things, loaded on USB drives and everything.
Yeah.
So that's real nice.
Plus,
Yeah.
when I was younger with the Xbox 360, one of the things I fantasized over the most, literally for some reason, I had a huge fascination over it. What Xbox games can I play on my 360? I want them. And it
Mhm.
didn't even matter what game it was that played on 360. It was because at the time I did almost everything on my Xbox 360. And it was just like, also their Xbox original games were like cheap. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
what games can I buy and fully enjoy on this 360 system?
I will give you I guess a little bit of a shortcut for maybe one of the games on there. I distinctly remember playing Max Payne on my Xbox 360. I completed it. Yo, that game had major slowdown on the
Oh yeah.
360. Like, I mean, it's still playable, but I'm like, I remember even back then, I didn't know the terms. I didn't know about frame pacing, frame rates, and all that.
Right,
But
yeah.
I'm just like, this is like, it's slow. It's like and it's not bullet time. It's like, no, this is fully like max running at like, regular time pacing and everything. But it was just, the performance kept dropping so
See,
badly. If you play Max Payne on the 360.
this is exactly why I think a video like this would be so interesting, because
Hmm.
if I had a modded 360, and like here's a whole different thing. Piracy, right? I don't think the people should just like go around downloading whatever games they don't own because they don't want to spend money, right? But when it comes to something like this where it's like I need to demonstrate all these games, I think it's okay to pirate things for demonstrational purposes. Like what I would like to do, can you see I'm kind of talking about this because I have to? But like what I would like to do is have a video where I talk about every single Xbox original game that was made by Xbox to be official on the 360, and talk about it for a bit, and like do a little
Oh
bit of
God.
research, see what people have said about this game playing on here. And I feel like that would make for a marvelous video, because if you go out and you see a list of games like this works on 360, this works on 360, you got to ask yourself, does it really though? Like, because Max Payne clearly doesn't.
Mhm.
And
It's playable. Like, I finished the game, but ooh, that was painful.
yeah, I think Crash Twin Sanity has a similar issue, and if I'm not mistaken, Jet Set Radio Future has a lot of lag as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that would be an excellent video, and it's something that doesn't require me to know much about these games. Like I
Yeah.
just got to play a little bit, and I don't have to talk about the game. Like that's a mind blowing concept to me. Imagine being able to make a video about a game, and I don't have to talk about the game. It's beautiful.
That works out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just, I don't envy you making that video, but I would love to see it. I'll just put like that. And
I
then,
know for
if you,
anyone that might be a really annoying video to make, but for me, I have this like personal thing with playing Xbox originals on 360. I'm just like, I remember at one point thinking, when are they gonna make them all ready to play? And it's like, well, that for many reasons that can't happen, but yeah.
here's something that's mind blowing. Then there's something else I want to talk about. But did you know, if you burn on a completely stock 360, if you burn a original Xbox game and you pop it into a stock 360, it will recognize the title and everything on there?
Yeah, I guess that does kind of make sense. It's all in their catalog.
I guess, well, even games that were not compatible, it would still show it. Like
I
on the
think
dashboard, it would
probably
show the title there, what the game was, but
right.
it wouldn't boot because it was a burned disc, but it would actually display the title, and that always blew my mind.
Yeah, there's definitely like game ID things. I know, especially like on the GameCube, every game has a code. I
Hmm.
imagine when the Xbox 360 was being released, they probably had a database within the console that had all those game titles in there, and it's just like, for the ability to make this work on this system, we need to so and so get the rights and this and that. But we're just dumping all the game codes on here for the start, so we can decide later what we want to actually put on here or not. Like,
Hmm.
and God forbid Disney does a Chicken Little reboot or something. It's like you'd never assume that the original Xbox Chicken Little game would be important. God forbid they made it compatible on Xbox Series X. I don't know why.
Yeah, especially because that, even to your point with licensing wasn't as much of a thing with Xbox games on the 360, but it was much more of a thing with the Xbox One, Xbox Series, because you don't run those games off the disc. You have to download a new build, which is the equivalent of, putting up that game
Really?
for purchase. Yes, yeah, though, like
But
any
if you have a
Xbox.
disc, you can like play that game though, right?
It acts like
Like
an unlock key. Like, what
okay,
happens
so you
is,
can't like if you go out and buy one of those, you can play it on your Series X. You just or your Xbox One. You just gotta wait a few minutes to download.
yeah, a few minutes or even a few hours depending on your connection. But yeah, you
Okay,
have to. It will recognize the disc, and then it will allow you to download the entire game that has been rebuilt in a Xbox One or Xbox Series package, and you boot that. But there is absolutely no gameplay that is run from the disc itself or installed from the disc itself.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's why, because you are essentially getting a newly released build of it, that's why they have to play around, like play nicely with licensing on there.
That's actually very useful information to me. I'm probably gonna use that information somewhere at some point.
Hey, awesome. Well,
Yeah,
I'm happy to know. Yeah.
like if I ever do that Xbox compatible video, which I would really
Hmm.
love to do. It's just I don't have the hardware for it.
I
Ooh,
understand.
reflux killing me.
Oh God.
No worries, it's fine.
Well,
Not as serious
speaking
as
of
it sounds.
yeah, speaking of other things killing and all that stuff, not literally, but there was one thing I want to talk to you about because I had run into this here, or I guess experienced it and everything. And I know that you and I talked about it before, and you kind of had this happen as well too. Nothing in a bad way, all good. But I actually, even with all the YouTube stuff, I wanted to talk about taking a break because for anybody who does not know, and if people have been like, "Hey, Mr. Mario hasn't uploaded for a few weeks," well, thank you for noticing. But I ended up for the first time consciously in like taking a structured break on my channel. I do know a lot of people, um, a lot of YouTubers, mainly like full time YouTubers and stuff, they will take a break in January because ad rates typically go lower and stuff. I've noticed that. I've never really cared about it all that much. And it didn't even really line up with that. For me, it was more in December a bunch of stuff in my life offline happened that needed my attention, like to the point where there was times like I didn't have time for myself, or I even had to take some time off of like my day job as well too to address this, because it was, more serious stuff. And I had to hammer out like last few videos of the channel. It's more like near the end of the year. I have several videos that are kind of traditional. So I still want to do a mod chat, still want to do Mario's Minute, want to do my traditional end of the year videos and stuff. But I was just like, you know what? I need a break. Like I can't keep doing this because I literally don't have the time right now. Like I'm cutting into and cutting away from other stuff just to make time
Absolutely.
for what I need to do. So I had never done that, and it's still ongoing what I've needed to work on. I guess it's at a little bit more of a manageable state, I can say. Um, but for me, it's very much been a thing where I guess in terms of even, channel performance and all that, thankfully, like my last few videos before I had, taken my hiatus and everything, because I took a break for like almost when I say break, it's like I did not make content. Like even because I typically, I'll make content, I'll cache it and everything. I didn't make any content for about a month.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've done
and
that. I just
and
recently I had to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So you know how it goes, but even with that, I really felt like I needed it, so I made sure, I kind of had a bow on everything, scheduled the last stuff I need to, even scheduled some videos for January, so it's like I can when I do return, I can slowly return and slowly spin back up. But it was just something I had never taken a break like this. Maybe the only time I took a break was, which I also realized how long I've been doing this for. It was like over 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, when I think it was my first semester in college. I was doing finals and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to, for a few weeks, I'm not going to make any videos. I'm not going to upload anything until I'm done with the semester. And that was like my treat to myself. But I noticed I still had a spark because it was even with everything going on. One of my close friends told me, he said, take a break from YouTube if you need to. Because if YouTube becomes a burden as opposed to a needed distraction, you might want to take a break from there. My girlfriend was saying as well too. She was even telling me even before all this, she was like, you can take a break. Like,
Uh-oh.
people, everything okay?
Here comes the cat.
Oh, it sounded like a chicken.
No. No, she was just using the litter box, and she always screams when she comes out.
She screams when she comes out of the litter
Yeah,
box.
I think she's telling us to always change her immediately after she
Oh
goes to
my
the
god.
bathroom.
The cats are such
Spoiled
divas.
like that, yeah.
But either way, I had even like my girlfriend had told me before, she was saying, like if you need to take a break, like I'm sure people understand, people will be cool about it. Like you've been doing this for a while, like you deserve a little bit of a break. So she was even kind of pushing a little bit like that as well too, in the best of ways. But I never really took a break like this until this time around. And I will say it was like kind of twofold where it was pretty good. Like one of the things was I noticed I was happy. It kind of just verified I still have the spark because like when you're really in the thick of it all, it can get, sometimes it can be a little bit stressful. It could be a little bit of a burden. Like if you're really having to feel like you have to get something out and such. But for me, before I even finished like wrapping up the content I needed to, I was excited thinking about the content I was going to make coming back. Like, I was writing down video ideas. I had stuff turning over in my head and such over what I wanted to cover, what I wanted to do. There was a few things that happened where I was like, I really want to make a video about this. I really want to just even record a little bit, but no, I'm going to force myself to stop here. So I still had that excitement. Like, I was excited to return before I even started my break. But
Yeah.
even just some of the stuff that I got to do during my break, it was really just, still working, still having some holiday time, still hammering out what I needed to in my offline life. But even when I did have downtime, honestly, it was really nice where I could just lay back and just enjoy games without
Isn't that
having
the
any sort
best,
of guilt
man?
or something. There
Isn't
was
that the best?
that. There were times, dude, because I was not sleeping for a minute. So catching up on sleep, forcing myself to sleep at times was very nice as well too. But it was just I I had this, and as I was thinking about coming back and who I was going to have a Mario's Minute, I was like, your name kept turning over my head because I know you and I talked about like breaks and stuff before, and you took a long one for a while, and I kind of want to talk with you about this, kind of get your thoughts on it as well too.
Right, yes. So, God, that is a very interesting subject, and I got to think about how to word it. So
Sure.
there was a situation with an online friend that was making me really paranoid at that point in my life. That was, I want to say, 5 months ago. So I ended up taking a break from YouTube for a short while, and I was literally spending most of my days watching VHS tapes that I had collected for
Hmm.
all day, every day, until about a week later when I realized that being cooped up in a tiny apartment was a much bigger problem than the paranoia I was facing with my friend. Um, Basically, I had a friend that was going through some stuff online, and then they were kind of going through more stuff, and I kind of had to be like, hey, I don't think you should do this. And they were just like, haha, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm just like, oh dear. So I was really worried about them. I've kind of cut off that friendship recently for reasons that were, you know, more appropriate for me to do. Um, but yeah, so that really got me all nervous, and I didn't really. I mean, all my friends, they work like long day jobs. It's like if I ever need a break, I don't have anyone to talk to. So it's like even if I could take a
Yeah.
break away from YouTube, I can't take a break away from life because I didn't have anyone really to go to who was available like whenever. So I feel like there was another reason why I wasn't seeing people at that point. I'm not sure if I was sick. I can't remember what exactly. I think it might have been I was just really, really depressed for some reason.
It
Um,
happens, man.
it does. So actually, what I did, which was a very bold move for me because I never do this, I'm very shy usually. I There was this guy outside who always like talks with people around the apartment, and he's friendly. So I decided randomly to go out there one day. He's talking to this beautiful young woman who I sparked a conversation with, and hey, what do you know? She's my wife now.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a very quick development, but we felt like at least from almost the very beginning that this is what we want. We finally found the right person, and it's
That's
all been very good. I mean, other than the typical relationship back and forth, which I'm sure everyone goes through, it's been just short of perfect, really. So
I'm so happy to hear about that. That is also, that even I was thinking about this today, honestly, and that even confirms something that I've told people. I've said sometimes stop looking. Like
yeah, yeah.
whether it's a relationship, whether it's even a game you're looking for, stop looking, just be yourself and see what the universe presents to
That's
you.
very interesting. The game aspect. I've never applied this to like video gaming,
Yeah,
which might
yeah.
be a smart thing to do.
there,
Yeah,
there's some people that are looking for a deal on a game, and like, mind you, it's good to keep your eyes peeled and stuff,
yeah.
but like sometimes some really good deals I've stumbled upon, it's like I stop looking, I stop caring, and it just slaps me in the face, and I'm like, oh,
So
okay,
here's an
this here.
interesting analogy. Growing up, my parents were religious, and so I
Hmm.
carried some of that into, my childhood, and then there was the agnosticism, and I'm not entirely convinced of what I am right now. But there was always this saying where it's like the guy he dies, he goes to heaven, and God's like, uh, "How come you didn't come to me, son?" And he's just like, well, I was going through this and that and this and that, but you were never there. And he's like, or like he's okay, never mind. Let me start over. Okay, so there's a guy on a desert. There's a guy on a deserted island, and he's about to die. and then he's looking for food, water, blah blah blah, and he can't find anything, and then a boat goes by, but he doesn't call the boat because his idea was that God has a plan for me. I don't need to seek the help of others. But then he dies and goes to heaven. He asks God why he didn't help him, and he's like, "Well, I sent a boat." So it's a lot of that thing where it's like you gotta keep in mind what's out there, but don't like dwell on it.
Yeah.
It's like don't expect the boat to show up, but if the boat shows up, that's what was meant for you. And something I've learned a lot about like the Muslim religion recently with my wife is there is a certain aspect where it's like if something good happens to you in life, that was always meant to happen to you. Or if something bad happens to you in life, that was also always meant to happen to you. And it's like every single thing that happens in life to you happened for a reason. So it's a nice way to think about life because then you feel a lot less like regret and self-embarrassment when you just think, okay, despite I may have just tripped on a banana in front of my entire school, that was always meant to happen. There was no denying that that was going to happen, and now I just have to deal with it.
In some ways, I guess you can say it's halal.
Yeah.
I'm Middle Eastern. I can make the joke. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. So it's all very interesting stuff. Yeah. If there's a game out there, don't spend your whole day looking for a deal. But if a deal comes to you, you take the deal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And that's kind of the analogy that I was trying to. I think I did a good analogy there. But yeah,
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah. But I even know with the and I'm sorry to hear about your friend and stuff, and I know sometimes it's really hard to cut those relationships off as well.
It was, yeah.
And sometimes you have to do that. But I do know with this is something I really wish, and I'm going to refer to this, and I will say big shout out to this Twitter user, Tinkersec. So it's Tinkersec. I am super disappointed, though, that they end up deleting this thread because I've referred to it a few times. I've sent it over to several friends, including FrameRater here. But it was essentially he is in, security and such. He's really big into hacking and everything. He does it ethically. He does it, for a job and a living. But he ended up putting out a big thread where, in short, he squeezed his creative juices dry and developed PTSD from hacking. It was just, he just kept working. He kept working. He was chasing the money. He kept taking on jobs when he really didn't have the time, when he should have been resting. And that literal juice that I'm talking about, it was, he got MRIs for it and everything. And it was glucose. That was the creative juice there, but he had pretty much dried his brain out of glucose, and he was giving himself seizures. And then even when he was trying to get back to hacking for a while, the PTSD was there. Like, he would essentially try to get back into it, and he would just freeze like a deer in headlights, or he didn't know basic commands. He didn't know how to do certain things. And it's a terrifying and insightful story about brain health. But it's something I've linked to several people because it's like, I know even before with, when FrameRater and I, when we were talking, I know Frame was saying, 'cause there were times, you running things by me with your channel, or like, hey, how do you do this? Or what do you think of this? Or whatever it is. And it was very much a forward. It's like you had the struggle of doing this full time and kind of deciding like where to steer that ship.
Yeah.
While for me, I was more lackadaisical. I'm like, it's an outlet I can put an MP4 file on and some people watch it. That's pretty cool. Like if 300 people watch my video, that's awesome. But on that, I just remember you would, and I don't know if it was, I know it wasn't only this, there was, other aspects as well too. But I remember I'd sent that to you, and there was kind of a realization where you told me, you're just like, oh, wow, that's scary. Yeah, I can totally see myself there. And then like a few days later, you came back, you're like, oh my God, that's me. I can see myself there. I realized I need to take a break.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly if I'm projecting there by saying that's exactly me, because I didn't run out of glucose. I'm not having seizures. I'm not
but
unable
you were
to
seeing
work.
yourself
But
kind of on that
yeah,
spiral.
it was definitely going down that kind of a path where I was putting just way too much work into these things. And like I know I say this a lot particularly, but I really think people do not understand how hard it is to do console library videos. No. Especially to get all the information correct the first time. So yeah, I was really like breaking my headspace. And like, yeah, now that I'm married and like I have more variety to my life, it's like I feel like with that glucose thing, it's like I feel like the best way to maintain that is to have balance in life. And so you can use your creative juices. You can also go out on a walk with the love of your life. You can go shopping. I mean, nobody really likes to go shopping. Well, depending on where you're going, but if you're grocery shopping, it's boring, but it's giving yourself some mental variety. And that's why sometimes, when we got to go out and shop, I'm just like, okay, you know what? Maybe I need some shop time. So
Hmm.
always,
Yeah.
always a good balance is the best way to go about life and in just about everything you do.
Hmm. Exactly. And you can have some fun times that too. Like make jokes about fruit or something. Or if you're in a Walmart, just go to the plumbing area, take a plunger and just stick it to the wall and walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that before. So,
Oh,
just talking from personal experience. Now, it's been a while. Okay, it's been like over 10 years since I did it. I've grown up just a tiny bit better. So, the last time I had FrameRater on, we were talking about Cyberpunk 2077, just like the mess it released in. And I will tell you, man, okay, we talked about it a little bit offline here, or I guess before the show. You're not missing out on too much right now, missing out on Cyberpunk 2077. Just wait until that thing is fixed and then you can enjoy it further. So I think that was respectfully, that was not the best example, just because it's still in a poor state for the
yeah,
most part.
yeah.
But I can get the nostalgia thing, and I've seen that there where it's like nostalgia itself isn't bad. I guess when it does get bad is when it is at a point where you're constantly longing for, something old, those good old days, but it's even, kind of painful in a way where you just think so much about that it can cause pain, or that kind of becomes a coping thing. When it comes to even, I'm not a therapist or anything, right? This is just from my own
Yeah, and I'm
experiences,
I'm just
but
throwing out stories here. It's just
oh, I
interesting
know.
things for people to think about. Yeah.
I know. But even when it comes to like even a fear of something new, whether it's new media or something, the best thing you can do is just really just jump into it. Even with your wife, just jump in hand in hand with her. It's like, hey, if she has like a show on Netflix that just released last week that she really wants to share and watch with you, like that's something that you can get into and kind of just
It was
start.
really hard to get me into Squid Game, but that turned out to be a good idea.
And there you go.
It was a
There you
good,
go.
very
Just
short-lived show that nobody talks about now, but it was good.
yeah, and it's just slowly chipping away at stuff like that, just chipping away, and it's a process overall. Like I get
Yeah.
that, but I guess with me, with my nostalgia, I can get it with, obviously I do my modding and such, and I guess for me, a part of my nostalgia was experiencing some older stuff that I missed out on. So it's not like I'm going and like swinging on a swing set or something, but the example I've used is like the original PlayStation. I wanted one so bad when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Eventually, I got one, and it was great. And it's just seeing even to this day, if I see a PlayStation, it will just make me light up internally. Like I still
I
love
know
that
that
system.
feeling. Yeah.
I have so much love for it. But the biggest thing I wanted, not just a PlayStation, I wanted a mod chip for a
Oh
PlayStation.
yeah.
I couldn't solder. I didn't know anyone who could solder. I couldn't trust any services to send them out. It was also during like a weird time in the internet where it's like people really weren't advertising that. It wasn't you weren't sure who you could and couldn't trust, whatever it was. It was a lot harder to do all that.
Yeah.
So even for me, one of my biggest accomplishments with soldering was when I wanted to solder because I wanted to install a mod chip in a PlayStation. It crushed me when I failed to do it multiple times. Then when I finally did it successfully, it was exciting and it pushed me further. And it's just like, then I was like getting the chips blank. I learned how to program them myself with the code to turn them into mod chips. I was then wiring them up, installing them. And every single time I would mess with a PlayStation or install it or mod it, it just brings up so many positive, happy, warm, fuzzy vibes
Sure.
inside of
Yeah.
me. And that is a nostalgia for me because it's like it's every single time I'm kind of revisiting and I'm just like, hey, this thing I wanted so badly when I was like 11 or 12 years old. Boom, I can do it now.
Yeah, I grew up with someone that had a modded PS1 by the works of his father somehow. I
Hmm.
don't know if it was his father that did it, but yeah, there was some good times with that. He all you'd have to do is burn a game to a disc, put it in, and boom, he had all
Yeah,
the Crash
so envious of
Bandicoots,
that.
the Spyros, lots of good times. There was even an NES emulator for the PS1. People have wanted me to make a video
Yes.
on that for a while now, but the thing is, I'm not sure how I would even do that without a modded PS1. How easy is it to mod a PS1 these days?
Oh, dude, I mean, you could honestly, we could even do it as easy as I mean, if you're willing to do a swap trick and everything, if you have a legitimate PS1 game and if you tape down the sensor, you can just swap it with the burned game a few times and you can boot that up.
Oh,
There's that. There are memory card exploits now where you can pretty much modify a memory card and turn it into like a boot device of sorts. And then, of course, the tried and true mod chips. But there's also then if you have like a parallel port on the back, you can even get one of those parallel cartridges and flash that. We can talk about this later, and you can pick my
sure.
brain
Yeah,
about it. But there's multiple different so there's the old school tried and true methods, but there's even newer things as well too. If you want to be less destructive, but you still don't want to pick up a soldering iron.
yeah, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, like even with the PS2 now, you can just buy a memory card off eBay, put it in, and then you're good to go or something.
That kind of so that's been a thing for a long, long
Free
time. That's
McBoot,
like
I think.
that is free McBoot, and there's also Open Tuna, Fun Tuna, For Tuna.
Wasn't there
Also
like an
for
exploit of the DVD drive in the PS2?
free DVD boot. Yes, there is
Yeah,
that. But really, like, and this is not knocking free DVD boot. It's incredibly impressive. But like, one of the best things you can do with it is you can easily just burn a DVD that will then allow you to boot into the free McBoot installer and install that yourself.
that's pretty
So
cool. Yeah,
yes.
the only reason I've never really went into PS2 modding is because much like the Xbox games playing on Xbox 360, I was always just so fascinated about playing PS2 games on PS3. And then I had
Hmm.
this huge lust over having an original model PS3. Did you know I've gone through four of those? I literally have. I bought four of
I know
them
you
on
went through a
eBay.
few. I didn't know it was four,
It
but
was
I'm
three
not
or four.
surprised.
It was definitely at least three. Or yeah, at least three. I remember three exact times. Four might be stretching it with four, but I would buy them, and then literally like within a month or a week, they would yellow light and then not work anymore.
That
The other
sounds
two I
like.
sold off as like for parts, and
Mhm.
this last time, I literally bought an upgraded one with an improved fan, redone thermal paste and everything. Lasted me a month.
That honestly sounds like you might be getting systems that have been kind of like shoddily repaired.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's what it sounds
But I
like to
do
me,
know that
unfortunately.
apparently the PS3 is a very notoriously like okay, the original model. It was a very notorious console for breaking and hardware malfunctions and this and that.
So
Apparently, playing PS2 games on an original model PS3 is more hardware intensive than playing PS3 games.
accurate, yeah. And I
Yeah.
actually, so during the seventh generation, I actually worked at a local game shop, and so of course we had the Red Ring of Death, and I worked there from 2009 2011, so we had a whole lot of Red Ring of Death stuff going on. But it was very much a thing near the end of my tenure. We This anecdotal, mind you, and depending on region and such, but I was seeing like as many broken PS3s come in for repairs as 360s. So when people were telling me that, like, even back in the day when there's like, oh, the PS3 is more reliable, I'm like,
Yeah, I remember
it, it
hearing that
it
too.
is, but it is and it isn't. I'm just like, look, the Xbox 360, it's known. Like, you get one of the earlier models, it's gonna die in like within 12 to 18 months. The PS3, it's gonna suffer the same fate, except it takes maybe 3 or 4 years. But your PS3 will get there. Don't worry. Your
Yeah.
fat PS3, that thing's gonna die.
Now, weird question.
Sure.
I got an Xbox 360, I think 60 gigabyte model, sometime in like 2007 or 8. And
Hmm.
that thing literally lasted me up until last year when I sold it because I didn't need it anymore. It
Hmm.
worked the whole way. It was a white one. And here's the thing, the disc tray, it had like the silver on the disc tray. I know there's earlier ones that
So
were
that
white.
was the pro model, and it
Okay.
could have been it was either a Zephyr or a Falcon model, depending on when you bought it.
I think I remember seeing the word Falcon on the system somewhere. So were those ones more
It
reliable?
it wouldn't have said it on there. You would have had to look at like the manufacturing date and
Mm,
the power plug.
yeah, I'm not sure.
The power plug, was it a plastic end or was it a metal end? The part that plugged into the console.
Plastic.
Okay, so that was a Falcon. It sounds like if it was
Yeah, I remember
2000,
hearing or
if
reading
it
the
was
word Falcon somewhere. I mean, I'm not
if it
sure
was
where.
2008. So maybe you were looking it up and just cross referencing it
It
there. So
could
for
be.
Yeah, it was more than likely a Falcon.
So are those
Even
more reliable ones?
yeah, those are more reliable. The most reliable, I'd say, even over the Slims, would be a Jasper model for the Fats.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. So if you're ever looking for one, aim for Jasper,
How
unless you're
are
really wanting
the
wireless.
Slims? Those are pretty stable, right? That's what I
Uh,
have right now.
Mostly stable, I would say. I would still say I've seen many more fail. Like it's not as bad as early units, not
Yeah,
nearly
yeah.
as bad, but I have seen many more slim failures than like I can't even think of like a true Jasper failure. I'm talking about like you get a Jasper system and you just play it and use it normally until it red rings on you. Like personally, I've never seen that, but I do see a lot of slims getting the red dot of death.
I see a lot of super slims getting the red light of death
For the PS3,
for the Xbox 360. I don't know if it was
uh,
called super slim.
was it the E?
Yeah,
The
the E model.
interest. Okay,
I
yeah,
had
because
one
that
that red ringed actually.
those ones are usually the very last ones are Winchester motherboards, but then those are also Coronas. So yeah, the overall the like if you're wanting like if you're telling me you're just like, hey, I want the most reliable Xbox 360 model, period. Which one is it? Jasper.
Yeah.
And I guess specifically like a Kronos model, which is more the later versions of the Jaspers, but still Jasper overall is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I might be a weirdo here in saying this. Apparently, my ideas of console aesthetics is a little iffy, but I think the original model Xbox 360 just looked better on a shelf than the solid black one. Because here's the thing: while it may look good, like the molding may look better, I really think that black consoles just look like DVD players.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I want my consoles to look fun and quirky. Like the Nintendo 64 has like loops and like podium things on the front. The
And it
three
had all those crazy colors.
Yeah, like I want my game systems to look like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's like, oh baby boy wants baby looking console. It's just like, I want something that looks cool. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want something that looks like I just pulled it out of the thrift store. And honestly, that's what a lot of these modern consoles do. I know a lot of people gave the PS5 a lot of flack for the way it looks, and I'm just thinking, well, at least it looks like something.
The problem is, frame. It's big.
It is very big. I know.
It's
I've
it's
used one a couple times. My friend
it's
has
the
one.
biggest console I own. It's
It
huge.
might be bigger than the 5200.
Oh god. Yeah, I have no doubt that it is. Yeah, like there was so I had surprised my girlfriend for Christmas giving her a PS5, and the way I even did it was kind of slick where it's like when I was visiting her, like I'd visit a couple times. The first time I brought my own, and then during the interim I ended up getting a second PS5 set up for her, made it look exactly the same as mine, and I brought that up, and it was kind of like when I turned it over I was like, "Hey, so I'm not bringing this one back with me. This one's yours." But we had to like find a bag that she could put it in to take home. And then we even like she got a duffel, but she was prepared. She brought a couple bags. So the first one worked fine, but it was a duffel bag. And I'm just like, we both sat there, we're like, this this might not fit in the opening for this bag. That's how big this thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very awkward shape. And then the Xbox Series X just looks like a fridge.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, recently with all that's been going on, I figured a topic of discussion you'd want to bring up today is actually the Activision Blizzard stuff.
Funny enough, I even had that on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Microsoft ended up buying Activision Blizzard for almost $69 billion. The biggest thing is cash. That
Yeah.
was a cash transaction.
And if I'm not mistaken, Sony went down by 10 something million or billion. I don't remember exactly.
Like they're
Probably
because
million.
of the stocks.
Yeah. Sony
It's a
went
good time to
way
buy
down.
Sony stock then. I'm not a professional here. I'm not trying to give any financial advice, but that just means a good time to buy some Sony
Yeah,
stock.
Sony's gonna do something to pick back up, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Yes, but yeah, no, I actually had that here. What have your thoughts been on that?
Very, very interesting development in video game history. This is one of those big ones, right? That's like Rare being bought by Xbox. It's always Xbox, isn't it? It's always Xbox buying these companies.
And then they got crushed. They got squandered into
Rare
making
belonged
avatars.
to Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Activision Blizzard, I mean, we got Overwatch, we got all those World of Warcraft, those games, right? That's them? Yeah, Blizzard is.
Mhm.
And then Call of Duty, I think obviously Call of Duty is not going to stay an Xbox exclusive. Like, that's out of the picture. But some of those others, it makes you wonder. Overwatch could be an Xbox thing, past the PS4 anyways. What else is there? I tried looking up for a definitive list of the games that they're responsible for. It's not easy to find one for some reason. Um, at least it wasn't when I looked. What else we got there, Mr. Mario? Tell me about some Activision Blizzard.
Let's see. Even going back to their, I mean, of course, there's Call of Duty. There's they've got some old stuff in there as well too. I want to say Hexen is something that
Well,
they
we all
own
know
there.
gamers are dying to play Hexen.
Oh, absolutely. StarCraft, obviously, all the
Right, right.
Warcraft stuff. So even like, just give it like like Warcraft 3, like okay, a good like just even disregarding the games on here, I would like Microsoft to undo a lot of the damage going forward and even just go forward with respecting a lot of these games and getting them out of the cycle, which is the Activision machine, where
Yeah.
it's like, for example, Call of Duty is forced to be a yearly thing. We don't need a new Call of Duty every year. People are tired of that. Activision takes something and they run it into the ground, like we've done with Guitar Hero, which that's something that they
Call of
have.
Duty over the years has been a very clear example to me of franchise fatigue. Franchise?
Absolutely.
Would
Yeah.
you call it a franchise? I guess
I
so. Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah, like even the people who are really into Call of Duty have just really had it with Vanguard.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah.
I know someone personally that he's a bigger YouTuber than I am. He was doing a Call of Duty Vanguard review. He said he got partway into the project and he was just so fed up with the game that he decided to scrap his video altogether. He's like, it's not worth it.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I can't imagine, because this guy is a really, really hard worker, huge amount of edits in his videos. And I was just thinking, like, I
Mhm.
can't even imagine. Um,
Jeez.
but
I'm I'm
one of his
thinking
biggest gripes was that Vanguard tries to completely rewrite history and it's very awkward.
mhm.
Yeah.
I haven't really followed all that much, but I know even some of the other games, so like Activision, they have the Crash
Well, the
Bandicoot
weird thing
series,
about
which oh,
Vanguard,
yeah.
from what I can tell, or at least how I feel about it, is like it's World War II, right? And World War II, the nationalities of people were very, very important to the war, and it's
Yeah.
like they're changing the nationalities who are fighting with certain people, and it's just like, this makes absolutely no sense, though.
In terms of accuracy, I get it.
Well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, isn't accuracy the whole point when it's based on World War II? Like, I
It
don't know. It's weird.
It is, but at the same time, now you're dealing with Call of Duty, which is kind of just more of an arcadey type thing.
Well,
So
I don't know. I mean, I know. See, the weird thing is, if you compare it to actual real life, I don't know. I guess it's cartoony or
I think
whatever.
I
But
think we're past that. It's no longer Call of Duty 2, 3, 4,
well,
even World at
no. But I
War.
did play a
Yeah,
little bit of Modern Warfare, and I don't know if Vanguard fits the mold of Goofy, but Modern Warfare was definitely like a very serious and toned game.
that was a very
By
gritty
by
one.
Modern
Yeah,
Warfare, I mean the one that came out like 2 years ago.
2019.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was a very gritty one. Yes.
It was pretty
Yeah.
good from what I played. That was when I had a PS4, actually. I got rid of it like shortly after that. I remember I traded the game back to my friend. He let me borrow it because I'm like, yeah, it looks good. I played it a bit. I'm
hmm
like, yeah, it was good.
I think I played it, like I enjoyed maybe the first half of the campaign, and then just felt like
See,
trudged
I
on for
definitely
too
didn't get
long.
halfway through it. I played a couple missions
Oh
and I
no,
thought it was
I
pretty good.
finished the campaign, which I wasn't crazy about it by the end, and then I tried the multiplayer, and it just felt sluggish and heavy, and I just wasn't. I'm not talking about Warzone. I just wasn't into the actual Modern Warfare 2019
Yeah.
multiplayer. So I think I paid, I want to say maybe 35, $40 for the game, and then I sold it for like 45. I
Yeah.
was just like, I don't even, I sold it like literally as soon as after I played the multiplayer, and I was like, I don't want to keep this game. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to sell it $45. Cool.
Yeah, why
I
not?
got it. Yeah.
You
I
know, I
pretty
was
much,
really
overall,
hoping.
it was like, I got like a rental out of it after shipping and
Sure,
stuff.
sure. I was really hoping that they were going to make Modern Warfare 3 remastered or whatever, because they did for the first one and the second one.
Hmm.
And Modern Warfare 3 is the one I played the most. I know I'm the odd one out in saying that, but I thought their Spec Ops was great. I loved Survival. If there was a modern version of that I could play online with my friends, I would be so happy. And the
Hmm.
campaign was pretty good too. I feel like because Call of Duty was such a repetitive thing back then,
It
and
was,
you
yeah.
couldn't blame someone for thinking MW3 was a rehash, because I guess it kind of was. But the way that the story developed in that game, like it was coming all to a close, is coming all together with the Soap's betrayal. I think, was it Soap? Something
I
like that.
think so.
And it was I thought it was really interesting, and I remember hearing everyone was hating the game at the time. I thought it was weird because I wasn't a big Call of Duty person, and I got MW3 randomly because it was kind of cheap because nobody was buying it. I guess it went on price drop really quick, and it wasn't my first Call of Duty, but maybe
Mm.
my third Call of Duty. I remember I really liked World at War back when that first came out. I got that around the time of release because everyone was talking about it, and that was the game that kind of really got me into modern first person shooters. Even though it's a World War II shooter, that one, but like, it got me into modern day releases of video first person shooters. And then after that,
Hmm.
I think I played Modern Warfare 2, and then I played Modern Warfare 3, and I was just like, yeah, this is great. And everyone's
Hmm.
like, it sucks. And I'm just like, well, I thought it was fun, and I guess I thought it was fun because it was building off a formula that was tried and true, except it was just being done again, and people were frustrated with that, which I understand.
Yeah, that's how it was. I think that was the maybe the last one I really truly enjoyed, I can say, because I had with Modern Warfare 3 and even Black Ops 2, I had pockets of fun with them. But like the last one I truly enjoyed really was the original Black Ops. The multiplayer I enjoyed on there, but the campaign, if you ever want to go back and revisit a campaign on a Call of Duty, or I guess try one out, like it's probably my favorite campaign out of all in the original Black Ops from 2010.
So, you know what's very weird to me?
What?
I was probably in the very last few years of grade school when Black Ops came out, or maybe I was in my first year of high school. I can't remember exactly. But I remember at the time when Black Ops came out, everyone was saying multiplayer sucks, campaign sucks, but zombies is great. And I heard that for years until I saw a video by that guy, the Act Man, who did a video on Black Ops, like, why is Black Ops so good? And I was thinking in my head, well, I remember people said it always sucked. And then he was like, the campaign is amazing. And ever since, like, around that time when I saw that video, I'm hearing everyone saying that the campaign's amazing, and I'm just thinking, well, I avoided it for all these years because I remember everyone was telling me that it sucked.
So it's for even during that pivotal time. So like I guess with World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty had this thing where there would be a new Call of Duty that would release, and so many people would say, oh, this, like, for example, like Black Ops, people would say, oh, this sucks, and granted, I guess it did need to be patched and stuff. I think people were saying like the hit detection and some other issues were present there. But people would say, oh, Black Ops is terrible, like the campaign is all weird, it's bad,
That's why I thought it was
the
really weird when the
multiplayer
sequel
is
came
really
out.
bad. But then another game would succeed it, like a new Call of Duty would come out, so in this case Modern Warfare 3, and then people would say, oh, like people would hype that one up, play it, and say that it's bad, and then they would appreciate the previous year's entry.
Yeah,
So right after the glean disappeared from that new Call of Duty, people would say, "Oh my god, Black Ops was so good." But I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
my opinion never changed. I always thought the zombies was a good component on the original Black Ops. Zombies was a good component. Multiplayer was fun, and campaign was my favorite. Like my
I'm gonna
opinion
have to
never
go back
changed
and
on
play
that.
it. Yeah, because I
I would
remember back
recommend
then
it.
when Black Ops 2 came out, I thought that was extra weird because I'm just like,
Dude,
wait, why are they doing a sequel to this game that people didn't like?
here's the thing, man. I do you know that the text based adventure Zork? I believe that's what it is.
uh, no.
I Zork. Let me see. Yes, here it is. Okay, so it is a text based adventure game that you can play. You can play that in the original Black Ops.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like there are so many little just like hidden things. Like they really like to go all out with the Black Ops games, I notice. Like those are the games where they try and give you like the most bang for your buck. I will say, going back a bit on the Activision thing, like when I was saying like I just want some games removed from that Activision machine. And by that I mean like Crash Bandicoot, they have the rights to it now. Microsoft does, or they will once
Right,
this transition
right,
happens.
right.
But Crash Bandicoot happened. We got a sequel. We got the trilogy remastered or remade, I guess. That was great. Spyro, though, Spyro got a really great trilogy. Toys for Bob was acquired. And then what did they do? As opposed to throwing something else amazing at Toys for Bob, they end up taking them and they put them on the Diablo 2 remaster. I haven't played the Diablo 2 remaster, but people don't seem to be all too happy about it. There's also, I believe, even on the console version, there's now a online check-in DRM where if you have the game offline for more than 30 days, you have to check back in order to use your saves and play it, even if it's just single
That's
player.
very bizarre. I hear the Diablo
It's
fans have had it really rough the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's even Warcraft 3 where Warcraft 3 Reforged, that remake happened. I heard it leaves a lot to be desired, but on top of that, it releasing ended up breaking the multiplayer components for the original Warcraft 3. So even if you want to just boot up the original Warcraft 3 and play that online, it's busted now at that point. And Reforged is still in a pretty broken state as well too. Um of course, the whole yearly Call of Duty thing, and just trying to make as much money and make everything the biggest thing possible. And then you say again, like Spyro, you take this team, they unleash all their creative juice and energy and make something amazing, and it sells well. And they say, hey, we're going to put you on this other project, and then that ends up faltering. Plus, of course, all the really like heinous stuff that has come out about the work culture and the bro culture that's been
Right.
happening
Yeah.
there,
That's one
and
of the best things to
harassment and
have
all
happened
that.
by the acquisition. I assume stuff like that's going to change at
Well, because
Xbox.
Bobby Kotick was aware of a lot of that stuff, and he's going to get a big payday, but he is going to be removed. Once all the papers are signed and everything, he's not going to be a part of Activision, which I'm okay with. So Phil Spencer is one of the better people to be in the industry where he's at, and he's willing to take more of a chance on things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Seems like a
that's
good
like
guy, that Phil Spencer.
yeah, he's a good dude. He's done a lot of repair for the Xbox brand, thankfully, and like everybody seems to like him. So
They released a documentary on the Red Ring of Death for the 360 recently, and apparently, like, they got a lot of praise for that. I've still yet to
mhm.
watch that, but that sounds like a very interesting thing.
You would think I would have seen. I've only seen the first episode so far, and I saw a clip of the fourth episode where there's just real funny. I mean, if people are making it to the end here, awesome. But it's like, first of all, they showed at one point, it's just a few seconds, but they showed a 360 being disassembled for that Red Ring episode, and it is a JTAG modified 360. That was hilarious to me. They also end up covering the exact issue that plagued the Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death as well, where even I admittedly I'll cop to this, I'd gotten this wrong as well too. It was never Now this didn't help, but it was never the motherboard itself, like flexing and all that. That didn't help matters, but it was specifically the dies on the chips was what was causing the issues.
Mm,
So if you like the fix for a while, everyone said like the tried and true fix was you end up taking off, let's say the GPU went out on 360. You take off the GPU, you end up putting fresh solder on there, you plop it back on, and you're good to go. That's just a really good band-aid. The issue is with the GPU itself,
right.
not the motherboard, not the connection from the GPU to the motherboard. And it was Microsoft of all people who ended up admitting that, and they showed it. Yeah, so I know shout out to Octal or Josh Davidson, but he's been preaching that for years, and he even put up a video real quick talking about it, and I know that dude felt so vindicated because he's just like, see, if you don't believe me, Microsoft of all people is saying this and they authorized it. This is what I've been saying for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good look for the guy, though, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely respect Xbox for at least, like, they didn't have to make that, right? So, it's a
Yeah,
cool thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're just showing more and more.
that's
So it's
great.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's getting pretty late here.
It is, yeah. So I do have, I do have one last topic that I
Sure.
like to bring up, even just for myself or even with a guest on here. But I'll go ahead, toss it over to you first. What games have you been playing here recently?
Gee, let me think. Um, every game for the Atari Jaguar. That's about all I can say. I mean,
Okay.
I'm always playing Serious Sam on and off, but for the you know what? A game I did play kind of recently, Paper Ball on Steam. I remember hearing about it years ago. It is Super Monkey Ball basically, but on Steam, and instead of a monkey, you are a paper ball.
That sounds cute.
Yeah, it is cute, and it's a lot of fun, and it's scarily accurate to the Super Monkey Ball formula, like really well
Oh,
done. So it's like that community didn't have such a great game in so many years, and then Paperball comes, and I don't know how much of a splash it made. It seems like nobody talks about it anymore, but it's actually really good.
I haven't heard of it until about 45 seconds ago.
Yeah. So that's fun. And then as for the console library, just all those Jaguar games. Let me tell you a fun short story. So
Sure.
Rayman for the Jaguar, very expensive game. It's the first Rayman game to ever come out after troubled development on the Super Nintendo. So I finally dove in to buy a copy off eBay for the video that I'm doing, the Atari Jaguar console library. So it's kind of stuck. I don't know where it is. Like it just says delivery moment still unknown, arrived in the country of origin for the buyer, and it's been stuck like that for about a month and 2 weeks. I've tried to open a case, I've tried to figure out where it is, and it's just seems to be sitting in limbo somewhere. So the guy tells me it takes like between 2 to 3 weeks to figure out where it is, and like what there's an inspection going on to figure out where my parcel is. And it's just like, well, gee, I gotta wait for this video now because of a copy of Rayman that got lost, and it's like, because of the price of that game and the significance of it to me on my channel as a huge fan of Rayman, it's just like, now I can't post that video until that game shows up, and I don't know how long it's going to take. I've never had this problem on eBay before. It's very weird, but it's just sitting in limbo. So
And I guess that's not even necessarily an eBay thing. That's like
it's a post
custom
thing. Yeah.
customs and or Canada Post.
It's weird, but I don't know why it should be held for this long. It's very unusual to me. I guess the price has something to
Uh,
do with it.
I don't even know. I think it's just is it in customs or has it passed customs already?
I can check that really quickly,
Okay,
actually.
because it would say like custom clearance started, or custom clearance successful, or if it's just arrived, then it could just be in that limbo.
Let's see. Uh, Shipment expected but not yet arrived, and then shipment received by post, and then shipment sorted in sorting center, and then shipment sent to country of destination, delivery moment still unknown, and it's sit that way since December 15th.
Okay, so yeah, yeah, so it's kind of just in limbo. It's shipped to Canada then, but it's not even hit customs yet.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
Okay, so that's even further. That's not even Canada Post at this point.
Yeah, I have no idea. I really hope I get it though.
Yeah, did you
Especially
get it from the
soon.
US or?
It's from like the Netherlands. The good thing about
Oh,
Jaguar
okay.
is that it's region free, so yeah,
Hmm. I hope it gets here soon then.
I really do hope
Yeah,
so.
keep me updated on that. I would be interested to know what happens with
Sure.
the Rayman Jaguar Chronicles.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, has that been all you've been playing here recently?
Yeah, yeah, it seems about it.
Right on, right on.
I have been playing Animal Crossing on GameCube, as I referred to earlier. Yeah.
I was gonna say, by the way, when you were talking, first of all, I think the GameCube Animal Crossing channel idea is great. The other thing is, when you were saying the original, I thought you were gonna say like Animal Forest on
Right.
N64.
So I've
Yeah,
thought about in the future potentially talking about that version of the game, but that would probably be the most I do. I don't know. I do
sure.
have a video on FrameRater talking about Dobutsu no Mori E Plus, which is a version that came out in Japan on the GameCube that has even more content than the one we got here in America. Somebody did a translation or is making a translation patch for it, but there's so much dialogue in that game. So
Yep.
he's taking like patron supporters and stuff to help him with the process, and like it is a huge task, a huge overtaking. But I did a
Mhm.
video talking about like what he's done so far and what limitations there are with the patch. But I can definitely say that that is the superior way to play the game if only we are able to experience it in the full. uh,
Mhm.
the only problem I think he said it would be impossible to implement the American animalese setting, which is like the animals going like
Yep.
but in Japan it's like it's very
It's
weird
so much
sounding.
rougher.
Yeah, so apparently there's no way, or at least if he were to transfer that over, it would take him years. So That seems out of the cards, which is a shame because I really do feel like if you are playing Animal Crossing and you're not hearing those voices, it's a very like polarizing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I wouldn't mind all too much. I'd be okay with it either way. I'm even thinking too, when it comes to translation, even I guess more specifically localization, that is an art into itself as
It
well.
is. I think the
I
thing with
know,
Animal Crossing voices is you've assigned these voices to these characters. Now, like imagine listening to uh the original dub of a show for the longest time, and then you watch it with your friend and you're forced to watch like a different language dub, and it's just really really bad. It's
hmm
uh-oh, lost connection to server. What do you mean?
yeah, I'm seeing that too, but it looks like it's all still it's okay. Let's just keep going.
Okay. Well, we do need to probably wrap this up soon, though.
Yeah,
It's been
I
two
will
two
say
and a half hours almost as we're recording
yeah.
this.
Yeah. I will say real quick on that with the localization thing. I'd heard this from I think the Nintendo Power podcast of all places, but Wind Waker there was a guy who was in charge of localizing it. He was playing the Japanese release, working on localizing and translating it to English. And he said that there was something, I don't even remember what it was, but he said there was just a word or phrase in Japanese, and he just could not figure it out because it relied on something in the game. So he was waiting for the development of the game to continue and finish because he could not localize this specific part simply because he didn't understand it.
Oh
And
wow.
then when he got a release that was playable until the end, it was something where near the end of the game he was able to recognize the context. He's like, "Oh, okay, now I can finish this translation. This makes sense to me." But that's what I mean, where it's an art form to that
It
alone.
surely is, yeah.
Yeah,
And there's also
yeah,
some things that kind of get lost in translation.
absolutely.
Cultures are
Yeah,
different, etc.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. On my side though, the stuff I've been playing, at least the things that come off the top of my head. So I'm still, even though New Year, I'm still playing Ring Fit Adventure. I'm still sticking with that, and it's still painful,
Oh.
but it's great. I am almost at like a year in days in the game, but it is. I think at this point, it's easily the game I've played the most on Switch. Like I've put the most hours into.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but I did remember hearing that it's quite a workout.
It is like it's no joke. It is real great. Like for $80 US at least, you really get your money's worth if you actually stick to it. And I've told people if you're not feeling pain from it, it's because you're not playing it at a high enough level. Yeah, just increase the level on there. So I've been playing that.
Maybe I
I
should give
ended
that a
up
try sometime.
I'd recommend it. I recommend to anybody
So
who
I can
like you're looking
finally
for.
so I can finally eat the amount of food that my friend does when he comes over.
Okay, yeah, that dude, that's your inspiration. Honestly, for I think in Canadian to be like $100. If you stick to it, if you actually use it, it will pay for itself, man. It's great. I don't have a gym membership anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, there's been that. I end up finishing the San Andreas remaster. Um, I struggle to use that word.
Oh
The
god, yeah, I
definitive
remember.
edition on Switch. It was rough, but it's one of those things. It's rough, but because it's San Andreas, it's still fun. And that is the first time I actually beat the game since it came out. Like the only other time I beat San Andreas was maybe about a month and a half after it released, like way back in 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was still fun. I started playing Vice City because that was the last one of the three on Switch that I was playing, but um, pause that for now because I'm currently playing Stubbs the Zombie, also
That is
on
a good
Switch.
game. Yeah. That's on
Dude,
Switch?
it is.
I
It's
didn't
on
know that.
Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC.
Oh, they're bringing all the
Dude,
classics back.
oh my god, it's so fun. I've never played it until a few weeks ago and I love it. It's great. I
Yeah.
remember the funny thing is I remember like an advertising point for it being that it runs on the Halo engine. And then when
Right,
you
yeah.
play it, it's like this doesn't feel like Halo at all, which is good, but I just found that to be funny.
Yeah, it is kind of weird how they
Yeah.
used that. Halo was everything back then. I remember that
Oh
game
yeah.
Area 51 when it came out. The big tagline on the back was "The Halo Killer finally."
Yes, it's like
Yeah, it wasn't
no.
the Halo Killer.
No. Yeah, that game it had Marilyn Manson in it, didn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you just reminded me of that. He always talks like this in the game.
So he talks like himself.
Yeah, but it was so bizarre. He played an alien, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Which is like, okay, that's what I would expect Marilyn Manson to play. Yeah.
That was so bizarre, but fun,
Yeah.
very fun.
Yeah, I need to actually play that
It's
game.
a good
I
game.
own it,
I
but I
hear the
haven't played it.
sequel is just awful though, but
Is that Area 51 Black Site, I
yeah,
think?
yeah.
Yeah, that was not good.
I don't
So
even know
I've played.
why the game didn't even come out with the big tagline Area 51. It was like Black Site was the bigger text, and the
I
Area
think it was
51
Black
was
Site's Area
yeah,
51,
Area
and
51 was like small next to it. I didn't even know it was a sequel until many years later, where someone was like, "Oh yeah, that's the sequel," and I'm like, "It is?
I can
Okay."
tell you it's not very good.
Yeah, so
I
I've heard.
played through it once and it was not very good. Yeah,
I
but
still part of me wants to try it someday, but I've only heard bad things. It's just
I
like,
if you want to try, I'm not going to stop you. I didn't think it was good.
yeah, I'm sure it's not. But I don't know. I the original was such a fun game. It's just like it's hard to
Hmm.
imagine it went down such a steep path. I feel like a remaster could save that thing. Like
Hmm.
it wasn't. I feel like that's a game that could have. I think they said Halo Killer for a reason. Like now, I don't think that's the appropriate thing to call it because it clearly wasn't, and it wouldn't be. But it was a good competitor, I think, to Halo
Sure,
when it was running. But yeah,
for sure. I got you. Yeah, so there was that, and then the only other game that I'm thinking of right now that I've been playing. So just last night we actually tried this out, but I've never played this game. I have wanted to dabble in it, and I'm actually surprised. I know this gets a lot of slack, but or I guess a lot of flack, I should say, not slack. But what game was it? Sin and Punishment on N64. I'm not saying that for the game itself. I'm saying the way we played it. My girlfriend and I played it on Nintendo Switch Online on the N64 component there. I will say though, I was actually impressed with it. Not just the game, but it looks really good. It's very clear, and it played pretty damn well on the emulator there. So we did the two-player, which one of you, it's like you, if you do two-player, you each have your own controller, but it's like the controller is copied. So with one
right,
controller, you can control the character and you can control where they shoot, but you can do that on both controllers at any time. So like at any given time, like even second by second, I can start controlling the shooting mechanics and she can start controlling, where we're moving and vice versa.
right.
So the way we played it was she was shooting, I was moving around, jumping, dodging, all that stuff, but it was challenging, but it was also really fun.
Hmm. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Sounds good.
Yeah, and that's also I think it's a Japanese only game and it's available on there, which is great. But it was one of those games where it came out in 2000. So, like, right at the end, like at the end of the N64's life cycle.
Right. Yeah.
The thing is fully playable and fully voiced in English, but it never got localized over in the US, at least on N64. I think the first time we ever officially got it was Virtual Console on the Wii. But it was all done, ready to go. Like, it just needed English subtitles. That's all it needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been it. That's what we've been playing.
That's very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, right here, very last thing, because we're gonna wrap up. But if you remember from last time, I like to pick a keyword for all the people who've made it to the end. So if you are leaving a comment on the YouTube upload, and even if you're listening, you can come over to the YouTube upload and comment. But if you leave a comment with a keyword or a key phrase that we pick, we'll know that you made it to the end. So since you're the guest here, FrameRater, I always leave it to the guest. What would the keyword or key phrase be for this episode?
Cube cross.
Why Cube Cross?
Maybe you'll figure it out someday.
Okay. It's been 2.5 hours. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So if you use the term Cube Cross in your comments on the YouTube upload, both of us will know that you've made it to the end of this episode here. Now, I guess, Frame, before we fully sign off, do you have, where can people find you online? And, whatever you say, I'll go ahead and plug your links in the description as well, too, of
I'm
this.
on that YouTube platform, FrameRater. I'm also on Twitter and I guess Facebook because I've been told to revive that account. Don't link that. I still got a lot of work to do on
I
that.
won't. I don't like
Yeah.
Facebook
No, I
anyway,
don't
so it's
either.
fine.
I don't either. But I was told for marketing purposes I should have one, so I'm like, okay. But anyways, yeah, the Twitter definitely. That's where I keep it. I keep it real. I keep it real on the Twitter. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this bit. But then there's also the Discord. I don't know if you want to link that. Probably not. That's more of a personalized thing.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to be in my Discord, there's links to it from everywhere else. So Twitter,
For sure.
YouTube, you can get there from all those places. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Frame, I know it's been a long episode here, but I really do want to thank you for
Well,
coming
thank
on
you.
here, being a
Always a
guest
pleasure.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's been real fun talking. So we got some more to talk about offline as well too, and you can always reach out for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been a real fun time.
It
So thank you
has.
for
It
being a
has.
pretty awesome guest for 2022 and the first return guest as well too on this
A
podcast.
lot of firsts. I was very proud, very honorable to. I'm tired, man.
You're bringing honor to the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Alrighty.
All right.
Had a good
Well,
time.
anyways, yeah, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for listening and watching, everyone. And until next month.